Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fuel Racetrack Designs IndyCar Series. Today is going to be the third annual Indy 500 here for the Fuel Series. My name is Samuel Dyer, and I'm here with Bronson Stafford. We're going to bring you all the action. Bronson, it's the Indy 500. It's one of the most well-known races, and this is going to be a fun one to watch. How are you feeling about this race?
Oh man, IndyCars at Indy 500. You can't get much better than that. Pretty much I think my biggest thing. I feel good. I hope they click off some green flag laps, get some green flag runs and pit stops, and see just generally a good race.
We are going to be having quite a long pacing laps here. We're going to have a total of 4 pacing laps. The first one's going to be iRacing's pacing lap, and then 3 other laps so our drivers can get all situated for our 3-wide start here for the start of this race. So as we're getting set up, we're going to be talking about these machines and the way that this race is going to go. Honestly, the driver that's been consistent and dominating all race long, that's going to be Nicholas Johnston, and he's going to be starting in the middle of the pack. Believe he's going to be starting around Nicholas Johnston. I once saw him. I lost his name. He's going to be starting in 9th position in the second row. So Nicholas Johnston, he's basically been the one car dominating the show. He won last week at the Indy Road Course, and now he's got a 42-point race. This is race number 4. Race 4 races left in the season. This is the 4th one. Race number 11 of 14. And this is looking pretty locked up for this machine of the 28. Other stuff that's going to be going on, this is the Indy 500. We're going to be seeing a lot of drivers having basically pack and drafting. And Bronson, I believe that you've done some races with these cars before. And how does the draft feel with these machines out there?
Yeah, the draft is always a very interesting thing with the Indy cars. On fresh tires, it feels great. You can turn in nice and sharp. You can get a good run on a guy and try and get that pass done before turn 1 or turn 3. But as the tires start to wear out, it almost starts to get really lazy on the front end, and the car just kind of wants to turn outwards, kind of towards the wall, and you have to feather the gas a lot more. Track position can be pretty important for Indy cars, and you'll see them probably be pretty aggressive on the initial start, especially with a 3-wide start like the actual Indy 500. And from there, if we get some green flag running, you should see it calm down and see slingshot passes more than anything than just straight out racing.
Now, as we see the drivers, it says they're on the green, but we're going to be doing a small pace lap for the first 3 laps of this race. We're not going to be going green until the 4th lap. So the drivers are going to be running around a couple of times, and I want to give a quick shout out to the man that's going to be starting in second, excuse me. That's going to be Eric Gonzalez. He's in the middle of our front row, and Eric Gonzalez gave us a little special treat for the Indianapolis 500. This is Gonzalez singing Back Home in Indiana.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon sends out its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
And I want to say thank you to Eric Gonzalez for giving us that treat to listen to. And Bronson, Eric Gonzalez started second, came in with a pretty fast time during qualifying, and he's someone to watch out for here starting in the front row. And starting next to him, get with the pole position, is going to be Thomas Bresci and also Liam Quinn.
Yeah, any of these guys, you start up on the front row, even the first 2 or 3 rows, you know you have a fast car. You kind of figure that they know what they're doing with the draft, and you typically would expect them to be up front all race. So just like you were saying, Eric Gonzalez, currently P2, middle of that first row. That's a really solid starting spot for him.
And then back in the second row, we're going to have Jason Brophy, Mitch Welker, and Matt Hollabaugh. And Mitch Welker took off most of this season being the crew chief for Nicholas Johnson, allowing Johnston to really have the positions that he's had all race, winning this thing. So it's good to have Mitch Welker back. And starting back in the third row, we're going to have Byron Daly. We're also going to have Kite Bommersbach, and then Nicholas Johnston. And these three machines, they have been consistently up front. Daly, known kind of as a roadster, but showed at the ovals that he has the speed to show off, and Nicholas Johnson, the driver that has been dominating all season long. And back in the fourth row, things get a little bit more dicey. We got starting in 10th is Daniel Zeggers, and then we also got Riley Thompson and Hayden Pastoris. Starting in the fifth row, we have Will Roberts, Zach Buchanan. Buchanan has been gone for a bit, but finally came back to the end of this thing. And then we also have Dakota in that 43 machine starting on the outside in 14th. And then in the sixth row, we're going to be having ourselves with Justin Curry, and then Philip Radich, and also Conan Evans. In the seventh row, we're going to have ourselves with we're going to have Andrew Wood, who won our first race of the season. Looked like he was a contender to really be out there challenging with Nicholas Johnston, but hasn't been able to have the best of luck the last couple of weeks. Also, Nate Stewart and Tyler Tyler Hensel. And we're going to go all the way back to the eighth row, where we're going to have ourselves David Cold, Nate Michaels, and Brad Ringer. Coming off to finish off the ninth row, we got Danny Roberts, Roberto Munoz, and Evan Adams. And then in the 10th row, we got Chad Frankenfield, Cristobal Venezuela, and also Richard Nash. And to finish off in the final row of cars, we're going to have ourselves with Christian Yancey, Michael Hurley, and Jack Goddett. As the drivers are now coming around the last couple of corners here, Bronson, starting off this race, it's going to be difficult for these machines. Best time to make passes. What type of moves are you planning to see these drivers make here?
Really, with the draft, you kind of got to set up for a slingshot pass. You lay back through turns 1 and 2, kind of get the run to go into 3 here off the starters. You can see the green flag just flew with Thomas Bresci already out to a good lead with Eric Gonzalez. Third place, Liam Quinn was kind of sleeping on that start.
Liam Quinn really not getting the restart he wanted, but it looks like Brophy is going to be dropping all the way to the back. It's kind of a two-horse race here at the beginning of this thing. Liam Quinn dropping pretty far back, but with the way that the draft works, we're not expecting Bresci to really keep this lead for long.
Yeah, you can only see Liam Quinn is already in the draft, starting to make time back up. I really expected Gonzalez to make a move there into turn 3, maybe with a run, but it was not happening. Liam Quinn now right on top of them. They've separated themselves already 2.5 seconds to a battle for 4th and 5th.
And going back to 4th and 5th, it's cluster of 4 machines. And due to the fact that we had a manual start with these guys, our first group were able to get a much better restart than everyone else, which allowed them just to pull away. And we'll go to a blimp cam to show the difference. I mean, you can barely see our front 3, and then all the way in the back is our cluster of machines that will gain on these front 3 just due to how strong the draft is. We'll be dropping back Liam Quinn on the inside, making a pass on Bresci. Now, the strength of the draft, it really shows with these machines, on these quick passes to Bresci. We're going to be seeing this a lot, where the car in second is just going to be slingshotting almost every corner. There's a wreck in the back. Believe that is going to be the 43 machine, but that is not going to cause a caution. 43 machine of Dakota Dakota Diazun, I believe. Sorry for butchering your
Cienzo, something like that. Yeah, it looks like
Sorry for butchering your name.
he it looked like he clipped the wall out of turn 4, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, Sam. With once you're in the draft, the further back you go, the car just wants to push more and more with just aero tightness, and it got the better of him already on just lap 2 of this race.
Well, if we had a group of 3 up front, and guess what? This group is about to get a much larger as that second group of just tons of cars are now starting to catch our leaders, and we might see some more action up front. With leading that group of machines is going to be Matt Hollabaugh, and that bright green and white machine. Matt Hollabaugh has been consistently up front in the top 5, finishing up there. It almost seems like every single race as you're starting to see everyone snaking, trying to break the draft and also stay with whoever's in front, trying to snake him out of position.
Yeah, you can already see the entire field was able to catch back up. What was a 2.5-second lead for the top 3 quickly evaporated, and that's just how strong the draft is in these cars. They're going 215 plus miles an hour. They punch a huge hole in the air, and it just allows anyone to really catch up. But as you can see throughout the field, it's still hard to pass even with that speed difference.
It really is. I mean, it's only been the front 2 of Liam Quinn and Thomas Bresci that have just been making a lot of passes. Everyone else kind of staying in line, trying to catch back up to these top 3. And not a lot of passes going on as everyone's still single file, but just waiting until they can build that momentum up, finally get the slipstream that they want, and finally slingshot their way around the car in front of them. As it looks like Bresci setting himself up to make another pass up front. Now, Bronson, looking at the fuels window for these guys, I know it's still early on to look at, but these drivers did run about 4 laps of just pace laps, so allows them not to really exert that much fuel. But with the drivers in the draft and the drivers not in the draft, what is the fuel window looking for these guys? It's caution's out. Take that back for a second. As a car that's backwards, it's going to be Brandon Ringer. We'll have to take a look at this action.
Oh, looks like some net code with the 15 car of Chad Frankenfield entering turn 1. Frankenfield was under him and nowhere close at all, and net code gets the better of Brad Ringer, and around he goes. And frankly, with that type of damage this early on, it's going to be a long race.
Yeah, any type of suspension damage is difficult for these machines to really get by at the end of the day. As we'll take another look at this to see the type of contact there was. It really wasn't. He wasn't close to Frankenfield. There was about a foot or 2 between the machines, and once you said net code, the reason for that caution there. Well, looking at some of these machines, looks like only one car besides Brad Ringer that came to the pits. Looks like Jason Brophy came in to get a little bit of a dash of fuel in his machine.
Yeah, Brophy, he also pit as they were coming to the green flag, so I feel like he's just trying to run around at the back of the field, try and keep the car together and go for it at the end. Interestingly enough, as we were just mentioning before the caution about fuel strategies and the pace laps and all that, it's a 125 lap race, and they get 29 to 31, maybe 32 if you run in 6th gear and you're in draft and lifting a lot. So from the drop of the green flag, it's a 3-stop race, and really kind of pinning off the sequence doesn't really do too much. As actually here comes the whole field just for everything to keep it all even. But it's a pretty basic 3-stop with every 30, 60, 90 till the end. So it really just depends on when cautions fall from there. But you can always try and get yourself off sequence a little bit, but with how early it is, I mean, you can't really do too much with strategy. Otherwise, you're going to have to pit in extra time, or you're going to be by yourself without draft, and it just makes it way more complicated than it needs to be this early on.
Well, we saw practically everyone coming in except for Danny Roberts and Chad Frankenfield. These two are going for track position instead of coming in to get new rubber and also just get packed down with fuel. As these guys were starting in the back, Danny Roberts starting 25th, Frankenfield starting 28th. So track position, important for these guys. Do you think this is a smart move to do in the beginning of this race?
You know, it's early on. tires really won't be too worn out, so you'll still be good with grip. And the farther up the field you are, the better the clean air you have. Kind of makes up for the lack of actual tire grip. And with these guys pitting lap 10, it's still a 3-stop race for everyone involved. They couldn't make it on one less stop from here. And so if they hold their ground and can stay up front, I'd say it's a good move.
I mean, if you can stay up front, these are cars that Chad Frankenfield running. I believe this is his first time running with these fuel guys. We usually in FRN we see Chad Frankenfield with the Elite League, so it's good to see him jumping and trying out the Indy 500 here. Danny Roberts, though, someone who always is trying something slightly different, but has just had bad luck of getting into accidents later on in the race. Well, hopefully he does not get involved with an accident here.
Oh, see, there's another thing right there. If you're Danny Roberts, where's the safest place sometimes? Leading the field. So maybe that's why I get out of the traffic a little bit. Don't have to avoid a wreck in front of you, possibly get ran over from behind. Instead, you're typically ahead of it. So maybe it's the best strategy for him.
Danny Roberts, 8th in points, but kind of out of the points chances here for winning the championship. And we were talking about how Nicholas Johnston is the points leader, and he's been looking dominant all season long. He's got a 42-point gap on Liam Quinn, a 52-point gap on Andrew Wood, and also a gap on Roberts is over 100 points. So really his chances of getting a championship win out the window, but a race win still possible.
Yeah, 4 races left in the season. If you're not in it for a championship, you're just trying to finish strong, get some wins on your name, and hopefully take it into next season or whatever you do afterwards and take the momentum. But it's a huge gap Nicholas is been able to put on the rest of the field. That's truly a dominant season, and it was only a 14 race season to have the kind of points lead you have, 40 plus points. That's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, 4 wins this season, and all of them have been at road courses. So expecting to just see more dominance from Nicholas Johnson as he's finished second at a lot of these ovals, and he's always had a fast machine. If he's not starting up front, he usually works his way up front by the end of the race. So always keep that 28 car in mind, as I believe Nicholas Johnson right now back in 31st. So all the way in the back, we'll wait and see if he has to just relax during this race, as we're still under pace laps. We'll have to wait and see if we get the 1 to go this time by. Just looking at the drivers, and I gotta say, we haven't had a very long green flag run, but we did have that manual restart, and it gave the advantage to the top 3 of Liam Quinn and Bresci and Gonzalez, so they had the advantage there. With everyone actually being close and it being a single file restart, is there really any advantage at being up front? Are you wanting to get that gap, or do you kind of want to start close to the car behind you?
That's a really good question, actually. And I've always found with the IndyCars, being the leader sometimes is not the best place to be with these single file starts on ovals, especially big ovals like Indy. If you get out too far, you're just going to allow second, third, fourth place to get such a draft and such a run off of you that really passing you might not be too hard unless they time it kind of wrong with the run. But it's always the interesting thing. If you are Danny Roberts, you gotta be careful. You're definitely taking off, but maybe not full throttle, kind of keeping the second, third place close to you. That way, when you get to the corner, they don't have enough time to back up and set you up for the backstretch run.
Lap 13 of 228 laps, and we have more than 125 because we took our first 3 laps under manual pacing. But we've ran a total of 10 laps, and most of them have been under caution. Gotta wonder, once these guys get going, are there any jitters left in? I mean, we did see that early caution. Is there any jitters left? This is still a very long race. It looks like our pace car will be pulling off soon. Driving up front, the main thing you got to worry about is the draft, and honestly, you got to utilize the draft and your momentum to the fullest here. On the straightaways is the time to make the passes and see if anyone makes mistakes. As the pace car pulls off, Danny Roberts is going to be giving us the green here on lap number 14. Danny Roberts getting a pretty good start with Chad Frankenfield trying to follow suit.
Yeah, Roberts got out a little bit there, about half a second. That's not too big of a gap. You're gonna definitely see Frankenfield and Quim close back up onto him down the back straightaway into turn 3. The biggest question, I think, right now, though, might be Liam Quinn and Thomas Bresci and Gonzalez, the original top 3, sitting there 3rd through 5th on fresher tires. What can they do?
They're on fresher tires, and also they have got longer on their fuel, as you're seeing Chad Frankenfield make the pass here on Danny Roberts, but Danny Roberts might have been thinking about a crossover and thought otherwise.
Yeah, that wasn't... Well, not too bad. Chad did a good job there, not getting too far in front. But here comes Danny Roberts again for the lead. He's definitely going to get it at the line. Should be able to get him in turn 1. Yep, Frankenfield lets off. Surprisingly, Quinn has not really closed up the gap too much. Maybe just let the top 2 switch back and forth a bit and let the tires heat up before you go make a run at him.
Well, I mean, if you're staying in the draft, you're saving fuel, and letting these two battle it out the way that they are, it allows you to save some fuel. As you see, Matt Halaba ducking his car low, trying to make a pass up here and moving himself up into the top 5, getting past Eric Gonzalez.
Oh, Danny Roberts gets the curbing on the inside of turn 4 there a little bit, allows Frankenfield to get away. No challenge for Frankenfield this time down the front stretch as Bresci moves into 3rd position, not taking his time, quickly getting past Liam Quinn, and Matt Hollenbaugh is actually going to follow him through.
Hollenbaugh deciding to make some moves quick, and he does not want to be one of the cars just following. He wants to start leading this leading this pack and get up front as fast as possible, as it looks like he is setting himself up to make more moves, but a lot of the action happening behind our leaders.
That was really close entering turn 3 with Danny Roberts and Thomas Bresci. They almost got together in the wall. There's a bit of smoke in the back. It looks like no wreck, just someone might have got the curb got a little bit loose, as it's really spread out now behind the top 4 or 5 cars.
But our top 4 are all side-by-side action, with Danny Roberts on the bottom with Bresci, and up top you got Chad Frankenfield and Halaba trying to figure out how they're going to stay side-by-side here. Frankenfield getting very close to the wall. You don't want to be on that second lane. You want to stay close to the grass, and now they're finally getting in line. We'll have to wait and see if Bresci's able to make any moves, but yeah, those cars behind them, they have lost the lead pack. They'll have to try to get back in line, but I expect everyone back in the back of the pack to be able to gain up on the leaders.
Yeah, you can already see 5th on back is starting to close back up. There's a good little gap to what is effectively a second pack forming, and now they're racing pretty much side by side. But Hollenbaugh up to 3rd position, past Bresci on the outside entering turn 3. Looks like he's trying to size up this top 2, use the fresher tires and get around him. And that's the one thing with fresher tires here, Sam. You have them, you can pass on the outside pretty early, but you're going to want to do it early before they really start to push up towards the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Bresci was the closest one up there. Could have been making moves, but decides not to hold back. And it's been Hollenbaugh who's been making moves on this restart, waiting to see when these front 2 are going to stop battling side by side as they get very close to one another.
We have a caution, Sam.
Caution is out, dropping back to figure out who it was. Believe it was Nate Stewart.
Yeah, the 13 of Nate Stewart. Oh boy, that could have been much worse. He going through turn 2 below Andrew Wood and just clipped the grass a little bit after the curbing, got loose, overcorrected it to the outside wall, almost took Wood with him, and I believe the 97 of Richard Nash really got lucky with that one. He net coded right through Nate Stewart.
That's the one thing with these Indy cars, is they're going so fast that netcode actually can save you. So that is one of the positives with these Indy cars, but the netcode can hurt a ton. As we're going to be seeing more angles. And yeah, Andrew Wood, very lucky, went screaming all the way down to the bottom trying to avoid, and was luckily able to. As we'll see another look at this. As we're now going to be looking at onboard of what Stewart was seeing. Yeah, he just touches the grass, hits the wall, and out of control from there. Doesn't have any idea what's going on. Can't really stop your car once you're spinning like that.
Yeah, these things, once they get loose like that, and they're so hard to save. They're so on edge to go as fast as they are. I mean, you're going through a low banked corner at 215 miles an hour. You get a little bit sideways, you're lucky if you don't kill the car.
Now this time we're actually going to take a onboard with. We are going to take a quick onboard with Nash, who got to have a scare of his life coming around the corner and having a car basically wreck in front of him and him netcoding through. And luckily, netcode saved him there as you saw the car go straight through his vehicle.
Interesting to note here, Sam. Pretty much all the race leaders pit this time again, and Danny Roberts and Frankenfield actually really lucked out with that, being able to hold on to their top 2 positions before the yellow flag. But it looks like Hollabaugh got past both of them in pit road.
Hollabaugh able to come in and have a faster. He was running faster in the lane actually, to where he gained that time. 2 cars stayed out once again, though. Justin Carey and Jason Brophy. Those 2 machines staying out.
Yeah, interesting that Brophy stayed out this time, as we've seen him pit every time on the start of the race and the first caution to kind of sit at the back. But now here he is in second. I wonder if maybe he'll pit this time by. Too early to be up here for him, or maybe he's seeing that it's a bit safer up front, as that caution again came from about behind 15th position.
Looking like it's a bit safer to move up front. I mean, if you saw the difference of about 10 laps on your tires compared to these other fresh machines, I mean, Frankenfield and Roberts were able to stay up front. No one was able to pass them, even with the fresher tires. So this is not a bad move, moving up front, trying to go for track position over everything else. I mean, there's a chance of another wreck. Everyone was staying pretty close, and you never know. You might see another netcode accident here, as we are on lap 20, about to be 21 of 128.
I think the biggest thing is just knows the first 2 cautions of the race so far have both only taken out 1 or 2 cars due to netcode, not even actual contact and stuff going on. Like the second wreck was a little bit of a driver error clip in the grass, and luckily netcode actually saved some cars, and the first caution was because of netcode. So these guys are running pretty clean, keeping their gaps, minding their distances. It's still early, so that's good to see. I think if we get going here, I think we could see a decent green flag run develop.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Hollabaugh seems like he was the only one that was trying to make a lot of moves for up front, as he was moving from about 6th up to 3rd, and was trying to pick his poison and what car he was going to follow to make the pass for these top positions. But you know, with these cars, they have the chance to really just sit back and relax, as they're so fast. The draft is so important. The draft can help you either pull you past someone, or you can use the draft just to save fuel. So the only disadvantage for these drivers in the draft is the car that's leading the pack is not going to be saving any fuel.
Yeah, I have to laugh a little bit. You say you can kind of relax with it. No way. You never relax with these cars. They're going way too quick. You think with the draft and it's easier to save fuel. That is true, but honestly, it's more stressful in the draft, I always find. I'd rather be the leader. I'd rather have someone trying to slingshot past me than being the guy managing the gap behind and watching for a checkup in front of you or getting ran over from behind. The draft, you can let off the gas and it'll still carry you so far forward even after you're off. And it's pretty crazy how these cars run. They are so aerodynamic. They literally slice through the air, and they're too fast sometimes. It's kind of scary.
As we are now going to take a quick look in the cockpit view of Justin Carey, as we're still under pace. Once we're in this cockpit view, you can see that this safety screen is up, and there's a slight glare for the safety screen for these drivers. Do you think this is affecting the drivers in any way while driving, or is it just they have to worry about this metal bar that's in front of them?
Personally, I think everyone's a little bit different, but personally, I've driven these cars with the safety screen, with the windshield, and it is a little bit distracting, honestly. The metal post right in front of you, it's kind of right there. You kind of have to adjust your in-game seating positions to, I think, see kind of properly. But anytime there's a little bit of a glare or a little bit of a shadow falling on a windshield, especially when it's curved around you, it's definitely a little bit distracting. It's hard not to notice it, and it's really just about trying to just ignore it, not use it as an actual false sense of something being there, and that's sometimes the hard part.
Also, while we're in this cockpit view, you guys can see the mirrors on both the left and the right, and those mirrors are going to be utilized a lot when the drivers are making these passes on the left or the right of our leader. We're going to go back into our blimp cam as we are going to be going this time by. We're only about to be 23 laps in. And I got to say, Bronson, is there anyone that's sticking out as someone that has a chance to win this, or is it too early to call?
I think it's way too early to call. I mean, you have guys like Hollabaugh already trying to make moves to the lead, but it can really come down to if you're the leader with 2-3 laps to go, you might think you're in a good position, but next thing you know, you're getting passed by 2-3 guys all just drafting, and I don't think you can for sure say anything until we get a good green flag run, see who's doing a bit better with their tire wear on the right front and is really managing draft and fuel levels well.
As the cars that are not going to be racing so far is going to be Nate Stewart and Dakota Digenzo as we are waiting for the drivers to take off. And there's a huge pack of cars that just got jacked up in the middle of the pack. That accordion effect really came into play, and all the way back to where Zach Buchanan is in 12th and 13th. Everyone just kind of got jacked up, but up front it's Justin Carey that's able to pull away.
Yeah, you're going to see, though, Jason Brophy already using the draft, closing in quickly. Carey's trying to break it. Brophy's going to go to his outside. Is he going to be able to clear enough way through? Oh, that's close. He's going to stick on the outside, though.
Staying on the outside, still going to be able to get the momentum. And here comes Matt Hollabaugh now on the outside of Carey. So Carey, being under fire, started first and possibly could be losing 2 positions just in 1 lap.
Oh, Chad Frankenfield is going right down the inside. 2-3 wide already. Hollabaugh's going for the lead. Here's the fresher tires now. The fresh tire guys are no longer taking patience.
No, the fresh tire guys realizing, hey, we got the more grip. We can make these bold moves. As Frankenfield takes it 3 wide, now up to 3rd. And now you got Brophy here, the car that did not pit, struggling right now. As Chad Frankenfield takes it 3 wide again. He did on the front stretch, does it on the back stretch, as Frankfield's going to be trying to take the lead as he's in the more preferred line, and he is going to be able to get it done. Matt Hollabaugh able to now move back to 3rd. So what a power move that Frankfield's been making. Did quit 3 wide twice, but Brophy right back at it on the bottom.
Yeah, he did a nice move, was able to get there, but he's never going to hold it with the way the draft works. Hollabaugh went from the lead to 3rd and effectively 100 feet of turn 3. And Brophy almost slid up in front of Frankenfield. You can see the fresher tires on the top of the racetrack. Allows Frankenfield just to get a little bit of a run off the corner as there he is again to the outside of Brophy for the lead.
On the outside again, Hollabaugh now thinking about digging it 3 wide into turn number 3, and this is dangerous. When cars are 3 wide, you never know what's going to happen with that middle machine. If they're going to come down low, come high, but they keep it clean and they're still going straight.
Yeah, I was on board with Frankenfield. He did lift a little bit there to avoid a straight 3 wide. And honestly, good call as it's still really early. But again, 3 wide down the front.
These guys up front, they want to put on a show as we're still going 3 wide on the front stretch, on the back stretch. They cannot decide who wants to be up front. And you got to give it up to Brophy, who's on the older tires and still able to keep on chugging along. Justin Carey back in 4th. He's still holding up front, not losing any more positions. But up front, it's Brophy and Frankenfield still side by side.
Frankenfield let off there, letting Brophy get in. No longer 2 wide through 3 and 4. He's going to just single file, probably try and get the run down the front stretch to try and slingshot on past to the lead and actually be able to hold on to it for a little bit. As there's the move now, pulls out a line.
And once again, side by side, coming across the line, and Frankenfield able to get it. This is kind of what we saw in that first green flag run where they were just dicing back and forth. And this is just the type of racing that we're going to be seeing. Once you have the run, you kind of have to use it. As once we're on the back stretch, we're going to be going into a blimp view to show you guys how crazy these guys are looking all side by side, all the actions that they can make. These Indy machines, you're able to be really twitchy, and just it allows you to make moves that no other machines can make out in the world.
Real quick under this run, Filip Radicek has taken the car to pit road and behind the wall. I believe his race is done.
Radek almost really had a chance to get some good finishes earlier on in the season, and just bad luck has been hitting that 6 machine all season long. Not going to be able to finish this thing out. Back in 30th position. Back up front, both Brophy's making some moves, but a lot of other machines in the back. That's Eric Gonzalez that you saw bouncing it out in the middle of the pack. Back there for 6th, a lot of machines trying to make moves, and that's now turned into more of a second pack. As up front, it's becoming a 5-car pull away from everyone else.
Oh, they're 3 wide in that second pack, Sam. I don't know if you can see that through 3 and 4, but they are absolutely going after it there.
As they are still attacking one another, it's looking like Zegger and Carey Zegger mainly pulling away, but it's Carey that's going to be back here with Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston, who Johnston, all the way in the back of the pack, talked about how he likes to finally make his move forward. These are 1 and 2 in points. As Nicholas Johnston and Liam Quinn battling for 9th. Johnston on the inside, able to make the pass, and he'll make it done. And you're seeing that all these machines, they are all scattered, but once you get the momentum, you got to make the pass, and everywhere on track, passes are being made. But back up front, it's going to be Chad Frankenfield and Brophy still battling side by side as Chad Frankenfield making the pass here on the front stretch.
Yeah, just as we switch back to that lead battle, Frankenfield swung really wide off of turn 4, was probably inches from clobbering that outside wall, so they're really pushing the cars already this early on for some good racing for the lead.
You got to wonder, due to the fact that Frankfield does have the fresher tires, these tires, how do they last as long as you would think for these machines? Is there a quick drop-off on these tires?
Generally speaking, for oval racing, you have fresher tires for about 2, 3, maybe 4 laps before they all kind of balance out. Once the old ones are back up to heat and your new ones are right there with them, there's really no advantage anymore.
And that's why we're able to see these guys still battling it out, and Brophy still stuck in our top 5 pack. And it looks like that second pack is starting to gain back on it, our leaders, as they are pretty much all in line. And so it looks like now it's about an 8-car pack, as it's still Brophy and Chad Frankenfield. Do you think the cars that are from 3rd on back, it looks like they're just watching these two battle it out and see if they make any mistakes, and they're not really, it's Matt Hollabaugh who's in our 3rd position. They're not really trying to make any bold moves for these guys up front.
Yeah, I saw a lap or 2 ago Hollabaugh think about making a move into turn 3 on Frankenfield when he had to kind of let up on the outside, but since then you can see he's just kind of keeping that consistent gap, kind of just letting them do their own thing. And honestly, the more that these guys just slingshot past each other, they're going to hurt that right front tire. So Hollabaugh is just sitting there in 3rd. Once they start to plow a bit more on corner exit, that's where he's really going to be able to get the runs on them and make easy passes on the straightaways.
And when we talk about the plowing action, you got to wonder about Chad Frankenfield. He's already shown that car coming off of 4, it's been kind of difficult, and he kind of is pushing it just a little bit too hard. The more that this run goes on, will he be plowing into that outside wall, or will he be able to keep it off the wall for this race as Chad Frankenfield once again throws his car to the inside?
So lap after lap, they just keep slingshotting past each other, and every time you're on that inside line, entering turn 1 or turn 3, you're having to turn that little bit more. I really think Hollabaugh is noticing that, letting them use that right front. If I'm to these top 2, I want to get it sorted out and maybe just kind of ride for a bit, because you're just going to hurt both of your guys at the longer this goes green.
As we've been seeing this action, I think Chad Frankenfield's starting to feel the wear on his tires is coming off of that corner. He just didn't look the same. Got a little bit higher than usual, which allows Hollabaugh now right on the back bumper of Chad Frankenfield, and this time Chad Frankenfield not making the pass. First time we haven't seen a pass on a straightaway.
Yeah, so you can already see it right there, having to let up more and more as they're side by side for about 5th, 6th position. And yeah, you can already see it. They're starting to push a little bit more on corner exit. It's a little bit harder to control, a little bit harder to get a run.
That was Nate Michaels that threw it way higher than everyone else, and it looked like he got kind of a little tight, plowed up onto the track, and he was in that dirty marble area that you don't want to be in, and there's no rubber up there. Your car could possibly spin out or just dump it straight into the outside wall. He's got to be careful.
Yeah, and just like that, the battle for the lead continues on. Straightaway after straightaway, Brophy backed by Frankenfield into turn number 1 as About fifth on back are actually running higher in general. They're not quite hitting the apexes of the corners. Maybe they're trying to stay out of that draft a little bit more and just trying to use the straightaway draft to keep up.
Well, something I want to bring up is Jason Brophy. He's been battling up front, and he hasn't really been staying in the draft for too long. He is on a 22-lap stint. So you got to wonder, is he going to have to pit in the next couple of about 7 to 10 laps? Or will he be all right to continue for a little bit longer than that?
I think even with the draft, a couple caution laps, I think you can maybe see him stretch it to 32, 33-ish laps on a fuel run. But if they stay green for too much longer, another 10 laps, he will definitely have to come down pit road.
I'm going to drift on back to Richard Nash, who looks like he's coming into the pits. So one of the first cars to really make a pit on this green flag run. Also, Curtis Yancey looks like he got himself into trouble, and his race is done. That is a total of, I believe, 6 cars that have been taken out of this race, and it's a shame to see all these machines not be able to make it to the end, as we are on lap 36 of 128 laps.
Quick note, Sam, is the top 14 or so cars have broken away. You have a pack of the top 13 broke away, then you have a small pack of 2 cars or so running by themselves, then another pack behind them. And this is kind of what I expect to see happen as we get more and more green flag running. You start to see guys kind of spread out, take care of their cars, and just kind of wait till the end of the race to really make big moves.
Yeah, that 2-car pack that is 14 and 15 is going to be Zach Buchanan and Will Roberts. And then starting off that big third group is going to be Riley Thompson and Brandon Daly. And both of these machines, Brandon Daly and Riley Thompson, both of them shown a lot of pace at road courses. It's an oval, so they're struggling just a little bit, but I think they're mostly just waiting until later on in this race. There might be another caution to bring everyone else closer. These are still 2 machines I expect to be up front of Riley Thompson and Byron Daly. And they're always up front at these ovals and even at road courses, so not surprised to see them up front at some point later on in this race, but still early on, they're kind of stuck where they're at.
Meanwhile, back up front, Frankenfield and Brophy are still switching the lead every straightaway, but there's a new person in third, and that's Danny Roberts, who stayed out with Jason Brophy, and he got past Hollabaugh and Thomas Bresci to move himself back into that final podium position. So the older tires on Roberts, he's done a good job taking care of them, not really running too hard like Brophy and Frankenfield, and he's back in third.
Well, Brophy and Frankenfield, both of them pit at the same time as all the last leaders did. The other machine that stayed out was Justin Carey, who was all the way back in 27th, so he's last of the cars that are running right now. Richard Nash brought his car in and has said that his race is over. It's another machine down, so Justin Carey all the way in the back, and then we have ourselves Jason Brophy, those are the 2 cars that did not pit last time. Both of them are running on about 27 and 28 lap old tires and fuel runs, so that is something to watch out for, as they will probably have to pit in the next 5 to about 8 laps.
So I actually just took a quick look at Justin Carey's car and why he was running way back there. He has some front wing damage and is down about 6 miles an hour on the straightaway. That's really going to hurt.
Yeah, taking a look at this thing, you can see it's a little jacked up on that front left. That's where the damage is, and just having that slight damage, the aero is so important here at Indianapolis that you can't really have those small issues on your car if you want to have a better chance to do well. As up front, it's still Frankenfield and Brophy, side-by-side action constantly, but it looks like Matt Hollabaugh is being also side-by-side with Thomas Bresci.
Really interesting to note right here is Brophy ran 1 and 2 on the outside and is actually going to pass Frankenfield. Not something you typically see here for an IndyCar.
No, it's really not. And I was seeing that during practice. I was wondering if they were just testing it out, but it looks like it is something that can work. You're able to hold them off, but the momentum that you lose coming off of turn number 2, I mean, yeah, you'd think that he would lose all that momentum going down the backstretch, but he's still able to hold strong on Frankenfield. And Frankenfield had the better line. I don't know how Brophy was able to hold off during that lap, but that was a very strong, powerful move by that 88 machine.
Yeah, you can see it again here through through 1 and 2 with the short shoot and everything. He just gets a little bit of a launch on the top of the racetrack and is able to hold the ground. That's, all that's going to do is Frankenfield keeps going low like that. He's going to burn that right front tire up more and more. So Brophy's taking a really smart approach to this now, just trying to go more on the defensive as Hollabaugh takes a late move onto Danny Roberts for P3 and Bressy's trying to follow him through.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked like these guys were about to try to make a move for the lead due to the fact that they're side by side for most of this race. They are not in the draft. They're not getting the speed or the momentum that they usually were getting, which allowed the guys in third, fourth, and fifth to make a move. But Hollabaugh stuck on the outside. It's going to lose now 2 positions.
Yeah, Thomas Bressi took advantage of that, trying to go for third position on Danny Roberts, and it's allowing the top 2 to break away a little bit.
I'm going to continue to bring it up. Brophy, 30 laps on the stint of tires and fuel. So it's getting closer and closer. I think probably less than 5 laps, we could be seeing that 88 machine pull himself down. But here's the thing. There is a complete speed difference about being by yourself and pitting with a pack of cars. How much is it going to hurt Brophy to pit by himself?
Honestly, probably not at all. The nice thing about pitting by yourself, you no longer have to worry about the draft. You can straight run in clean air, keep that car pegged full throttle just about, and you're going to be lacking a little bit in the straightaways, but in the corners, you're going to be holding a little bit quicker, not having to race constantly, and as the tires wear off more for Frankenfield of them, they have to lift more and more in the pack, so he's on a good strategy, I think, personally.
Brophy, one of the cars that was pitting a lot earlier on in this race. Now up front, 30 laps on this stint, about to be 32, still staying out. And Chad Frankenfield running in second. Danny Roberts is going to be running in third. And just coming down the line, you got Thomas Bressi, Matt Hollabaugh, Daniel Zegger, and then Nicholas Johnson in seventh. Nicholas Johnson started all the way back. He had to restart all the way back at the back of the field on that first caution. And he's slowly been working himself back up, now up to 7th.
Yeah, you have some guys that have really made some moves throughout the field. Meanwhile, that little pack that was 2 cars is slowly growing to 3 with a 4th car just behind them for a 14th on back. And, the more and more cars they add to that, they might be able to close in on the main pack.
Yeah,
that's here comes Brophy.
Brophy comes in, so does, I believe,
Nicholas Johnson.
Nicholas Johnson following suit.
And Will Roberts in the 39. So these are 3 guys doing something different on a different pit strategy. And I like the call, personally. Get out of the draft, run by yourself, click off some good, clean, consistent laps, and see where you come back out.
Also, Justin Carey came in a lap before these guys, so able to get some pits in. As we are still under green with 83 laps to go. Lead change for sure has happened. We'll have to wait and see, as I believe these guys up front going to probably be running for another 10 laps or less than 10 laps before they start pitting. But looking back to this group that just pitted, it looks like more machines are now coming in. That's going to be Cohen Evans and also Kai Bommersbach. Those machines are going to be coming in during this lap. But Nicholas Johnston and Jason Brophy, they're now in a tango. It's just the 2 of them trying to make moves as they are all the way back in 24th and 25th at the start of this pit cycle.
Yeah, this looks pretty organized. Brophy had a decent lead on Johnston down pit road, but they came out right together, kind of drafting off each other. And you can make time doing this with just consistent slingshot passing, not actually racing each other with a nice organization. And it's a good call if they can run some solid lap times.
They're going to try to run some solid lap times as our leader has a lap machine in front of him. That's going to be Will Roberts. That's in front of our leader. So lap machines with everyone running and us having a pretty decent green flag run. Lap traffic is something to watch out for our leaders.
Yeah, Will Roberts unfortunately just lost the lap coming off a pit road, but with the fresher tires, I'm sure he's going to just want to keep passing Chad Frankenfield and try and keep on that lead lap, get a caution, and you're good to go back on tail end.
As we're looking to see any other machines that have taken pits, it looks like the 91 machine is going to be coming and just got done with his service.
I would like to make a quick note. I love the strategy from Brophy and Johnston. They are currently 0.3 a lap faster than the race leader.
I mean, does that show just due to the fact that they're able to run as fast as they want, or is that due to the fresher tires that they have? Would you say?
It's both of it. Being able to run just 2 cars and have it organized, just draft each other on the straightaway, but being able to hold the throttle more open with the fresher tires, and you can really run quick lap times. Even in the draft that lap, Frankenfield was still 2-3 tenths slower than Johnston and Brophy.
Well, I want to call out some cars that are starting off our pits for these guys that are who were on the quote unquote fresher tires. Matt Hollabaugh and Riley Thompson both coming in this time. Well, the wait and see is this is probably going to start a lot of action to come in, as with the lap traffic in front of our leaders, it's allowing Danny Roberts now to be right on the back bumper of Chad Frankenfield.
So interesting. Hollabaugh just now leaves pit road. Brophy and Johnston already passed them in turn 1. They're going to have a huge gap over the 0-2 car.
As now we're seeing Danny Roberts passing, or trying to pass Chad Frankenfield. They kind of got to be a little bit careful here with this lap machine in front of them, is make sure that they don't try to accidentally wreck one another, and kind of hoping that this lap machine will just pull away, but with how strong the draft is, they're just not able to get away from one another.
Yeah, racing the lap traffic with Will Roberts, you can see he was not able to jump ahead of Matt Hollabaugh, just having to race with Frankenfield and the rest of that field. But Brophy and Johnston are ahead by
Frankenfield's coming in.
They have about a 3-second lead over the 0-2 of Matt Hollabaugh, and he was running 3rd, 4th position. I fully expect Brophy and Johnston to cycle out to the lead.
I mean, that is the one thing with kind of a short pit in a way off of the main sequence that everyone else was on, that allows you to get this gap. But you got to wonder, with everyone coming into the pits, once you see a big group of cars get in line, do you think they're going to be able to gain on this group of 2 machines of Brophy and Johnston?
It depends on how hard they race each other, really, as Frankenfield's leaving pit road, and there comes Brophy and Johnston right on by. But yeah, it really depends on how organized a pack gets. If they're going to race like how they were just racing that whole last stint with Frankenfield and Roberts and Brophy side by side consistently, it's going to be really, really tough to catch guys.
As you're seeing, they're just kind of slingshotting back past one another. And this was something that you were talking about earlier on, where we were seeing Brophy and Chad Frankenfield kind of slingshotting back one another. Do you think that they're wasting tires by doing this slingshot, or is this the fastest method to try to just gain on the cars that are in front of them?
This is definitely the fastest way to do it, and they seem pretty organized with it. Brophy's kind of letting Johnston be able to coast into the corner a bit more, and they're still running 41 flats, 40.9s, and they're running really good lap times doing it. And with just the 2 of them, not a lot of draft or whatnot, you're not going to be hurting that right front too bad.
Now we got a couple of cars that are still out running laps, as we've got a couple of machines coming in. Aiden Pastores came in, as well as Nate Michaels, and everyone else pretty much has come into the pits to try to get service done. The 4 cars that are still out there is going to be Danny Roberts, Daniel Zegger, Eric Gonzalez, and Liam Quinn, as it's looking like Zegger and Danny Roberts coming in, as well as Gonzalez and Liam Quinn. So those 4 cars last to pit, and they're going to be pitting 8 laps after Nicholas Johnson, Brophy did. So you got to wonder, with this pack of 2, are they going to be able to continue pulling away, as you'll look to see who's next on the list. Chad Frankenfield, who's 3.5 seconds away from Brophy and Nicholas Johnston. Chad Frankenfield has a little bit of help, though.
Yeah, I keep trying to just watch the lap times, and Brophy, that last lap, ran a 41.0, Frankenfield a 41.0, Hollabaugh a 40.0. So even the laps before them in the 2 cars versus the 4 cars, they're running the same lap times, fractionally slower, maybe a tenth at most. And it's going to take a long time to get within the draft. They're 3 seconds back. Once you get about 1.5, 2 seconds, I think you can realistically see them close up really quickly. But until then, it's just going to be consistently trying to close down on that top 2.
Yeah, you also got to bring in the factor that they are on about a 5 to 4 lap difference of pit cycle. So there is a 4 to 5 lap advantage, hypothetical advantage for Matt Hollabaugh, Chad Frankenfield, and those with that pack due to the fact that they have the fresher tires. But it's a pack of, I believe, about 5 cars trying to run down this pack of 2. But up front, Jason Brophy, Nicholas Johnston, bringing out a little bit of strategies. Brophy, one of the ones that had to pit. Johnston coming in to change up something and to give himself an opportunity to be up front in track position. Now for Johnston, who's up to second and first in points.
I'm just going to keep watching these lap times, and that last lap by the top 2, with just the 2 of them, were a 10th faster than that pack of 5. They are doing a much better job trying to run them down, as Hollabaugh and Frankenfield are stuck side by side through 1A and 2, and that's not going to help them catch up at all. In fact, they're just going to lose time doing that.
Yeah, as we're on the straightaway, I think we're going to try to check out the blimp and see if we can see both of these machines. There's a slight gap as we look back and forth. It's about a little bit then a straightaway difference between these 2 cars. It's almost 3.5 seconds, sometimes close to almost 4 seconds difference, mattering on where they are in the corners. But the pack of 2, like you said, they're just able to run a lot cleaner, and this pack of 5, they're just running side by side. If they were all in line and making these slingshot passes cleanly, I think they would be gaining on the cars up front, but they're just not able to.
Yeah, that pack of 5 that time lost 0.3 of a second to the pack of 2. If they keep this up, they're never going to catch those top 2. And interestingly enough, with the different pit stop, Brophy and Johnston are already about halfway through a fuel run. If they don't catch them by the time they pit again, that's a huge win for Brophy and Johnston.
Yeah, it's a major win. I mean, you were thinking that with the bigger pack that they have, maybe they'll be able to gain on these 2, but they're losing time. It is now a 4-second gap between the pack of 2 to this other pack of 5 machines. And here's the thing. This pack of 5, they've been racing so much against each other that they're actually allowing the cars behind them to catch them. Danny Roberts at the end of the line, but Daniel Zegger bringing it with himself is Eric Gonzalez and Andrew Wood and Liam Quinn. All these machines slowly grabbing onto the draft of these 5. And this pack of 5 is about to turn into a pack of about 10 and 11.
Yeah, so you can literally see 3rd through 13th are all about to be closed together in a pack, and the top 2 are still just able to cruise by themselves. They're still doing 41.0s, 41.1s. Meanwhile, this time by, Frankenfield does a 41.2. That's a tenth and a half slower than the 28 and the 88.
So you got to wonder, this 28 and 88 machine, they were bringing out the stop before everyone else. You got to give a little bit of credit to Will Roberts, who was trying to pit with them, but just he was too far back to be in the same sequence with Nicholas Johnston and Jason Brophy. But you got to give it credit to these top 2. They brought out a little bit of strategy, and it's working out as we're on lap 60 of 128 with about now to be 68 laps to go when they cross the line.
So the second pack has actually stopped the slingshot moves in favor of just trying to kind of bump draft a little bit with Bresci and Frankenfield. But I was just looking at the speeds at the line, and they were about 3 miles an hour slower, so it's not really working. The lap times are a bit closer, but I think that's more of the tire degradation going on for the top 2 now more than anything. And man, I don't know. That second pack now is growing bigger. They're starting to race a little bit more through the middle of that pack, and it's really up to the top 2 leading it to see if they can run down the actual top 2 in the race.
Really, what you got to do is look at the top 3. You have Frankenfield, who's leading that second pack, and you just got to look at the intervals, see that it is close to 4 seconds. When they started, once everyone pitted, the pit cycle was kind of at its end. The gap was about 3.5 seconds. It has extended. It has gotten shorter. But if everything, with all the degradation on these tires and the way that this green flag run's been going, these guys up front, the only 2 cars together, they are slowly pulling away from this big pack, starting with Chad Frankenfield. Well, while we have both these packs kind of chasing each other down, we're actually going to take a look at the cars even further back. You got Nate Michaels in 14th. He's got Byron Daly and also Hayden Pastoris, and those three machines trying to do as well as they can, but really not gaining on the pack in front of them. And then in 18th, you've got Cohen Evans and also the 44 of Tyler. Both of these guys trying to work with one another. And, these cars back here, they're kind of just cruising and hoping for a caution in a way. And that's really the only way that they can get back into this thing, as it's kind of turned into the pack of 2 against the pack of about 12.
Yeah, the lap times are solid. They're too far back, about 11 plus seconds, and that's going to be really tough to make up, especially under green flag conditions. And it's just one of those things. The lap times are the same. It gets kind of frustrating when you don't see the gap coming down at all.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to take a look here at back in 25th. Justin Carey, who tried a different strategy than most, kind of got into an early accident. He was part of the group that pitted first because he needed to get wing damage fixed up. His pit stop was longer, and he's been by himself. And you can kind of see the difference between a pack of 2 and a big group. It's almost about 0.2 to a tenth slower than everyone else. So it's not that slow off of the pace, but still slow enough to be losing time on the cars in front of them.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad since he got that wing replaced. He's running good lap times just by himself, so he's able to pretty much just keep it wide open and not have to worry about lifting too much without the draft. The car doesn't push too bad, and it'll take a while for the leaders to catch him. I'm pretty sure they'll end up pitting again anyway before that happens. So if he gets a lucky caution, he avoided any major damage with just a quick wing replacement, and he's good to go.
And then we're going to take a look here at Cohen Evans, who's leading this pack in the middle of the group in 18th. He's also got David Cabal, and then we also got Cristobal Venezuela, Jake Goddett, and Mike Hurley is going to be even back in 22nd, but Goddett's going to be the back of this 4-pack. We were trying to run down the 44 machine and the 19 in front of them to make their pack a little bit bigger, but everyone's kind of running pretty similar times at the moment. No one's really gaining or losing time, it seems like.
Yeah, that second pack from third on back have slowly started to pick into the times, about a tenth a lap or so. Like it's down to 3.8, probably a little bit more this lap already. But we're already 20 laps into what is effectively a 30-lap fuel window. Another 10 laps, and Brophy and Johnson will be coming back down pit road. And if they still have a 3-second lead and it stays green to the end, I think they're the favorites to win now.
I mean, the way that everyone's kind of racing, no one's really trying to do anything too bold and brash, as we were seeing earlier on in this race. I think we might be seeing these guys kind of just run it out, and it's looking like the cars up front of Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnson made the play and made the move that really set them up with having the earlier pit, sticking together, running as clean as they have been, making the right passes when they needed to, and not staying side by side in the corners, which has allowed them to really get this gap and be ahead of this big pack back at third and further back.
And an interesting thing to note is even with them pitting before everyone else on the pit strategy calls, when they pit, it would still be 2 more pit stops for everyone in the field, all the way back to the guys that pitted last. They would be, by my calculations, having to come in with about 10 to 15 laps to go. So everyone would still be doing full fuel, full 4 tires and everything. So if it stays green throughout this race to the checkered flag, everyone has the same amount of pit stops, has to take the same amount of fuel. And if that's the case, if you're third on back, I think you're worrying.
Okay, I want to throw this to you, Bronson, about, the pitting wise, is when we see these guys up front pit, it's going to probably be a clean split it in half. For everyone else that's been staying out a lot longer, the pit strategy of splitting it kind of makes it a little interesting. Do you try to push your car to the fullest so your car's the lightest at the end? Or do you try to pack it kind of fuel and short pit in a way instead of, do you short pit or do you push your car to the fullest at the end here?
It really depends, I think. If you want to take some notes from Brophy and Johnston, they kind of pit when they they both pit when Brophy had to, just due to his fuel levels, but it got them a 4-second lead. I think if you're in a pack of cars like the pack from 3rd through 13th, you can pit anywhere pretty much in the next 10 laps and maybe break away from that pack with the fresh tires and be able to run by yourself and kind of just use that as a strategy, or kind of get out of the draft, let your car not be as tight, anything like that. It clearly works, and if you get one other guy on your side, we could potentially have another little pack of 2 here and there.
Kind of got to give ourselves a nose cam of what these cars look like on Thomas Bresci to show just how fast these guys are and how close they're trying to get to one another. But a lot of these machines are kind of just in cruise control. They're not able to gain time just due to the fact of the degradation on these tires, but it's looking like our front 2 are starting to pull away. I think this pack of 2, their tires might be running low, even though they're on the fresher tires, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's what running in a bigger pack will do. That's honestly why I'm thinking if you're one of those guys back there in that pack, I'm short pitting. I want to get in front of it, run by myself. You can see their lap times now. They're starting to try and pass each other again, Frankenfield and Roberts. I wonder if maybe collectively they realize they're not going to catch the top 2 and race for 3rd, or what's going on there. But yeah, the top 2 now, it was down to about 3.8, but it's back up to about 4.5 seconds.
And it's gaining every single lap. It is a 0.2 gain. Our leaders, they've been running a 41.1 for a lot of this race, and they are starting to catch up to, you saw just right when we switched to our backstretch, that is Justin Carey in front of our leaders. And he's running about 1/10 off of what our leaders are running. You know what's funny is Carey's actually running faster than this huge pack. That's the second pack behind our leaders.
That's what I'm saying. I really think if you're one of those guys in that second pack, you have to short pit or extend it.
And we're seeing it now.
I was going to say, like, you're going to want to run by yourself. Run by yourself. Get out there. Keep the tires clean. Keep the car clean. Don't let the air mess it up. Justin Carey running quicker lap times than everyone in the field besides the top 2.
Mitch Welker, Liam Quinn, Will Roberts, and Zach Buchanan are the 4 drivers that short pitted, and they short pitted about 3 laps before our leaders should be coming in. And looking like some very quick pit stops for our guys that decided to short pit. Will Roberts, though, had the longest pit stop, so luckily he's staying with everyone else, but that was about almost a second slower than what everyone else was doing.
Now here's where it gets tricky for Brophy and Johnston. These guys on fresh tires are going to be right with them on their worn tires coming close to pit stops. I think if you're Brophy and Johnston now at this point, I'd just pit now. You don't want to run with these other cars. You don't want to slow down any more than you already have to with your tire wear.
Well, here's the thing. Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnson, guess who they're all around right now? These are the drivers that just pit. That was how much of a gap that our leaders had on everyone else's. They're coming in now.
Yeah, that's a good call from them. I would not want to be running with those guys that just came out. Let them do their own thing. Let them try and run with themselves. Get your spot back on the track just by yourself as the top 2.
Well, the top 2 coming into the pits, Chad Frankenfield and Danny Roberts now are gifted the lead, and no one else from that lead pack came into the pits. I mean, from that second pack. So now they're the lead pack. They were running a lot slower, and we'll have to wait and see what our Liam Quinn, Mitch Welker, Zach Buchanan, and Will Roberts, what type of lap times do they run? They're not a pack of 2, they're a pack of 4. And honestly, we saw a pack of 5 trying to catch up with Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnson, and it didn't work out. So is a pack of 4 too many drivers, do you think?
Interesting you say that, because if you actually look at it, it's really only the 2 of them that are together, of Welker and Quinn. Buchanan's just a little bit off, and Will Roberts is frankly a little bit too far for the draft, in my opinion. And that could work out for them, as Brophy and Johnston are hooked back up already. Entering turn 3, still have a good-sized lead on Liam Quinn.
Yeah, it is about 4 seconds gap as they are trying to. Everyone's trying to get back up to speed, and looking at cars that are pitting. Looks like the 44 machine just pitted, and so did the 91. So both of those machines into the pits, and they're trying to just make up time as much as they can. I believe they were around the 18th and 19th position was Tyler and David. So we'll wait and see where they are placed after this pit cycle. But looking up front, Andrew Wood pitting by himself from that front pack.
And it's a smart call for Wood. Get out of the draft. See if maybe you can jump ahead of them a little bit, as they're still they might just be trying to run it dry here on fuel. It doesn't really matter when you pit at this point, though. Anytime from lap 70 onwards, it's still one more pit stop. So you saw those guys coming on about lap 73, as Bressy's going to peel off from the top pack now.
There's Bressy now making a peel off, and they'll be coming into the pits. And looking at this front pack of cars, there are a few machines that are going to have to pit before everyone else. That's going to be Matt Hollabaugh, and then also Chad Frankenfield. They're a couple laps older tires than everyone else of Danny Roberts, as Zegger and Gonzalez. So with them being a couple more laps longer, do you think they're going to try to pit together, or are they just going to pit one after another?
I think it's maybe worth trying something out, but it's really hard to say. There's so many different strategies going on right now. But quick update with lap times. Brophy and Johnston already back to running 40.9s, 41.0s. Welker, Liam Quinn, Zach Buchanan, and Will Roberts are also all running 41.0s in that pack of 4. So it seems like it worked out well for them, as well as Johnston and Brophy in the first run.
It's looking quite well for these guys, but here's the thing.
Oh, Evan Adams just flipped entering pit road. He locked up the right front, clipped the pit wall. No caution as he's in pit lane, but that car's done.
Evan Adams not able to have a clean run, as this is all going down. We're going to take a quick replay to figure out what happened to the 59 machine, as it is crunched up and not looking good.
Yeah, he just locked the right front, trying to slow it down to pit road speed, and that's another issue I think we forgot to touch on. When the tires wear as they do, it's hard to slow down from 215 down to basically 55, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, that is one of the more things that's difficult for these drivers to do, as Evan Adams, that race looks like it's done for him. And Chad Frankenfield putting his car in the pits, and he's coming out now. So was our leader, now back to about 13th, already passed by Brophy and Johnson, and now by everyone else.
Yeah, Frankenfield pit by himself there, and you can see he's going to come out in that pack of cars again, and right with Thomas Bressie, who actually pit before him. It looks like Bressy's actually going to pass him, as are a couple other cars.
Well, we got to wait and see. Does Chad Frankenfield get up to speed in time, as he is a couple of miles per hour off? He still should have the draft with them. And yeah, he's back up to speed with the draft
now.
So this pack, these guys short pitted, but they did not pull away from everyone else. And you got to wonder, is this move, if we stay green, this is between Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnson, because everyone else behind them, they are almost 5 seconds behind.
You know what's crazy, Sam? Looking at those top 3, Roberts, Zeggers, and Gonzalez, since the rest of that pack peeled away, which was about 10, 11 cars, their lap times are 41.1s to 41.0s. The same as what Brophy and such were running when it was just the 2 of them. These guys are quickly figuring out that the bigger the pack, the slower you're going to go.
But after they come out of the pits, where are they going to lay? Are they going to be ahead of everyone else, or are they going to be still stuck behind? Going back to this, you got the pack of 3 leading this pack, and then if you go back to 4th, you're starting to see Byron Daly now coming into the pits, and also going to be Pastoris coming in. Now back to 6, you got to wonder. We've got a couple other machines that have to come in. Venezuela is going to be staying out. Got it. also staying out. So a couple more machines staying out. We got a total of 5 machines still out, but Venezuela and also got it should be coming in this time by.
Yeah, Brophy and Johnston are flying right now. That last lap, they took half a second out of Danny Roberts' lead, who are still on the racetrack going through past start-finish line now.
Well, yeah, they're gaining a half a second on their leaders, but they're also pulling 2/10 off the pack behind them. So they are pulling away from everyone else. If this stays green, it's going to be a 2-horse race between Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston. But here's the thing. Those 2 machines are praying that this thing stays green, because if there's a caution, all of the work that they have put in so far in this race is thrown out the window, as it is 44 laps to go. Once our leader crosses the line, 43 laps to go.
Oh, I switched back to the top 3 just at the perfect time. Danny Roberts is pitting by himself. Daniel Ziggers actually got really loose through turn 4, and he's going to lose the spot to Eric Gonzalez, who's going to lead that lap.
Here's the thing. That was a clean pass and slipstream pass that we saw there by Gonzalez and Ziggers. You got to hope Ziggers gets back up to speed, so they're able to continue running decent lap times, and you got to wait and see where Danny Roberts is going to be placed once the fuel cycle goes through. Danny Roberts
leaving pit road.
That was a pretty long pit stop by Danny Roberts, a 9.2 second pit stop.
Yeah,
now
Brophy
these drivers
is already flowing past, so the next pack coming is Welker and Quinn, and they're going past right now. Yeah, Danny Roberts is going to be at the back of this pack for sure.
Yeah, we're going to hop on board with Danny Roberts as Eric Gonzalez all by himself in the lead. And it's looking like Danny Roberts is actually going to be just off of the pace for those guys. So staying out might have not been the move, as the short pitting drivers able to pull away. Danny Roberts does not have the draft. He is not with that second pack of cars. Eric Gonzalez, next time he comes to the pits, he might be even further back than where Danny Roberts was.
I'm actually just switching through. Is there a relation between Will and Danny Roberts? Because Will Roberts is slowing down, and we have a caution.
Oh, there's a caution out. Going through, trying to figure out where the caution is.
Oh, I think there it is right there. The leaders just went past him. The 33 of Mike Hurley.
Hurley does not have a front end, and all of that work that we just saw Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston do, thrown out the window. But Eric Gonzalez able to stay out, and I think everyone's going to be coming to the pits.
I'm looking at that caution, and Justin Carey just kind of drove right through Hurley. Did not lift, did not slow down, just drove straight through him.
Yeah, you're seeing Carey not really seeing the cars in front of Hurley, and that's where a lot of that accident came from, as we'll take another look from a different angle. Yeah, Hurley had no chance in that moment where Hurley had the cars in front of him that were making moves. That was Brophy and I believe Nicholas Johnston in front of these guys, and they were making a slipstream pass, and there's nowhere for Hurley
to go. A really quick thing here, Sam. Eric Gonzalez has been out there for 33 green flag laps. He could potentially run out of fuel getting into his pit box and have to tow to it and effectively kill any chance of winning this race.
We're going to take a quick look to see where Eric Gonzalez is, as he is pulling down, trying to get into the pits now. And no one else is coming in, so you got to wonder on this. Is Eric Gonzalez, I think he might be able to make it to the end here. As now everyone else following suit. That was lap traffic that we were actually seeing that didn't come in.
Yeah, Gonzalez is going to make it to his pit box, does not run out of fuel. I noticed as soon as the caution came out, he pretty much pushed the clutch in, and that car went dead silent. So he is probably about to come in and pit this time by, but the caution came out. And, everyone else coming down pit road at the same time as him, he, staying out that little bit, he's the new leader. And that's not a bad call.
Well, he was the new leader. If he comes out the way that he is, he'll come out 5th. 4 cars staying out. That's going to be Daniel Ziggers, who was the last car to come down the pit. So he'll have the freshest tires of cars that already pitted in a way. And then you got Chad Frankenfield in 2nd. Danny Roberts and Matt Hollabaugh. Those 4 cars staying out. And Chad Frankenfield, 9 lap old tires and fuel. Doing quick math, I don't think he can make it to the end here.
No one can make it from the end here. Well, actually, it's really, really close. I would expect these guys maybe come in and top it up. We just saw the 42 do a 33 green flag laps. There's about 36 or 35, 40. Yeah, it's pretty close. There's about 36 laps left. So, this is really, really close.
I mean, if I'm a driver and I'm in the middle or the back of the pack, I am topping off when I can. Right before it is one to go, come in, top it off, get as much fuel into that machine until we have to go in, because you don't know if we're going to have another caution, and you don't know what's going to be happening up front. As we right now, Cohen Evans should be our last car on the lead lap. I think he's trying to do a wave around. Yeah, that is what he's trying to do. So Cohen Evans is going to be in 22nd. 22 cars on the lead lap. On lap now 90 as the leader crosses the line, and you're starting to see cars in the back coming into the pits.
Yeah, with the lights on the pace car still on, I assume next time by would be 1 to green. So that'll give 34 green flag laps. We just saw the 42 do 33 laps and have to clutch it with a caution. Oh boy, if it stays green, I think we have a fuel mileage race in our hands.
34 laps was possibly where Eric Gonzalez was feeling comfortable. And Eric Gonzalez was staying in the draft. He wasn't trying to lead anything. He was in the middle of the pack or all the way in the back for that whole entire stint. So you got to wonder if the car's going to do it. It's not going to be one of the guys pushing up front. It's going to be one of the cars that's leaning in the back. And I got my eyes on Liam Quinn, who's been our man who does usually these fuel mileage stints, and Nicholas Johnston, who's also been starting to do some fuel mileage runs. So both of those machines running 7th is Nicholas Johnston, 8th is Liam Quinn. Let's wait and see if those machines try to just do a little bit of fuel mileage. But yeah, I would think about, with these drivers, they got to be thinking about how can I save fuel right now? And you got to wonder how many people are clutching their car here on pace lap, trying to just save as much fuel as possible.
Yeah, the top 4, I don't think it matters. The top 4 need more yellows. But if it goes green from here to the end, they're going to have to pit. I don't see how they're going to basically save 8 laps of fuel, even with cautions. These cars love to eat fuel, especially if the race leaders like Daniel and Frankenfield and Danny Roberts and Matt Hollabaugh. You're going to be leading. You're going to be punching the hole in the air for everyone else. You're going to be using more fuel. I don't see how they make it to the end. So they're probably banking on a couple more cautions, maybe get everyone to pit again, keep the track position. But those guys 5th on back, that all came down that caution, topped up on fuel and whatnot. They're sitting really good right now as another car comes down to top off again. Hayden Pastoris, there's my favorite to win if it goes green. He's got more fuel than everyone. He might not even have to save.
It's gonna be very close, as I'm saying about 34 laps might be the most, possibly 35 laps if you are trying to clutch in the corners and trying to save as much fuel as you can, while everyone else is going to be trying to pit. If you have not come in to get, Chad Frankenfield is not making it to the end. He has to pit one more time. Also, Matt Hollabaugh, he's going to have to come in. Danny Roberts has to come in. Those guys are not going to be able to make it all the way to the end. There's just not enough laps and time to save fuel for these cars. I don't even think maybe Zenger can be able to save as much fuel. It's everyone from 5th on back that possibly can make it, but it's going to be risky.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really close. And the biggest thing, if you're 5th and those top 4 pit, guess who's now using the most fuel? You are. And you're just going to help everyone else behind you save fuel, and you might not make it. This can be a really interesting race if it goes green from here on out.
Well, here's the thing, though. So we've been seeing these drivers trying to use up and try to get up front as fast as possible. And I threw out the thought of just relaxing behind a car. Do you start relaxing, or do you try to use the momentum that you get?
I don't know if you can ever relax. I mean, if there's more cautions, this top 4 is now sitting fine. They're going to be fine on fuel. They're going to be hard to pass. Their tires aren't too much worse than everyone else. I feel like you can't just sit and take it easy until the race is done.
Pace car is going to be coming off. It's going to be Zeger, Frankenfield, Roberts, Hollabaugh, and Gonzalez, your top 5. And this is turning into a fuel mileage race as we are green. Zeger and Frankenfield leading the pack, and we'll see who's able to save fuel as Hayden Pastoris is the car with the most fuel in his tank. He topped it all off, got the freshest rubber, but he's all the way back in 14th.
14th is not a bad place to be in, though. There's only 13 cars ahead of you, with 4 of them having to pit. You're pretty much guaranteed a top 10 as long as there's no cautions and people run out of fuel.
That's the thing. We had one of our longest green flag runs, and it was a long one. We had a green flag pit stop. Almost had a second. As for second, it's almost 3 wide.
Yeah, this top 4 already not holding back. And you actually see Eric Gonzalez kind of laying back in 5th. Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston laying even further back, probably saving more fuel than the 42.
Yeah, back in 6th and 7th is Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston before the pit stop. Oh, they're 3 wide up front. That's getting tricky. And guess what? Who's being up there in the lead is Chad Frankenfield, who has been making it 3 wide the start of the race and still here at the end with 36 laps to go.
Yeah, that 3 wide move, he was able to get a decent little gap to everyone else behind. He's not going to be challenged into turn 3. It'll have to wait till turn 1. But they're starting to race side by side now as well for about 5th position, which is not going to help fuel save, but they're still in the draft, still going to be able to do something.
The way that these guys are racing, it feels like they know that they're going to have to pit one more time. Might as well get up front, run as much as I can. Even if I short pit, we've seen short pitting be the advantage. So these guys up front, maybe with them pitting early, could give them the advantage if we go to the green.
But you know what's interesting about that? Jason Brophy is going for 3rd position on the outside of the racetrack and is going to get it, and Johnston following him through. I think they believe they have enough fuel to go for it. They're going to go 3 wide for the lead now into turn 3.
And 3 wide, Johnston on the bottom and Brophy all the way at the top. And it's not looking, oh, sorry, that was Zeger on the top, as it's Brophy that's on the bottom making the move. It's these cars are so strong. Brophy and Johnston is now they are 1-2.
Yeah, Brophy and Johnson have been the top 2 cars literally the entire race due to pit strategy. That was so close into turn 1, but they're going to hold the bottom. I don't think they're saving fuel either. I think they believe there might be cautions, or they believe they're good to go to the end.
Well, I mean, they might think that there's a caution, or they might cause it with the way that they are racing up front. They are not having any regard to saving the cars in front of them. I mean, we're coming to the end of this thing. It's 34 laps to go, and they're 3 wide into 3.
Yeah, Liam Quinn also squeezed his way up the outside of Matt Hollabaugh down the backstretch into turn 3. He's going to steal 4th position. Brophy goes from the lead to 3rd. Frankenfield's still in 2nd. He can't seem to actually get the lead or lose a position.
Oh, no! Eric Gonzalez in the back! There is a huge wreck back there as they're still spinning in the back. That's also Zach Buchanan stuck on the inside wall. And I got to wonder if that all started with Eric Gonzalez. Roberto Munoz might have been gotten a little bit of damage there. But we got to take a replay on that as these drivers getting a little too racy. And I think that might place to where everyone is good to go.
Yeah, everyone's good on fuel from there, I think. Now, save as much as here as possible. But just looking back at the wreck, it looked like Gonzalez thought he could have squeezed between Buchanan and Welker and just wasn't quite enough room. Just turned down on Zach Buchanan, and there's the wreck from there as he comes back up the track and looks like he might gather another car or so, unless they got lucky with netcode.
I think that was going to be Venezuela, who was that lucky car netcode saving that machine. So we're going to take another look at this accident, and Eric Gonzalez, they were side by side with Zach Buchanan and just didn't, I don't think he realized how close he was when he came down. There might have been a spotter call mistake. With the way that Gonzalez spun, though, I'm going to take a look to see where Venezuela's car looks like, because that looked like a hard hit.
His car looks fine, so I believe it was just netcode for everyone else involved, which they got away with that one. It's just the 2 cars of Eric and Buchanan who ultimately are now out of this race.
Yeah, that was such a heavy hit for both those machines. Both their races are done. Coming to the end of this thing, it was 34 laps to go at that time of the caution. But now, looking up front, cars are going to have to start making decisions on when to pit, and I'm guessing everyone's coming in this time.
Yeah, if you pit here, you're good to go no matter what. Under 30 laps to go, you won't have to try and save. You don't have to worry about anything else. Get your final set of tires, get your fuel, and you're not pitting anymore as there's no green-white checkers.
As everyone's starting to come down, and you got to think for Pastores, he tried to make a bold move of coming in with so many times he came into the pits to top off, to possibly save for a green for the rest of it to go green. He moved himself up to 12th. That's the one positive, but he was not able to really gain any more time. We're actually going to take a look. Yeah, he is. That's Danny Roberts that I clicked on. Pastores is up front, coming into the pits as well. Only car that did not pit is Cohen Evans. And I think Owen Evans is just trying to get points because he is on 22 lap old tires and fuel. So I expect this 17 machine to come into the pits after leading this lap.
Yeah, I think he got the wave around at that last caution, so he was not able to pit after his green flag stop to get back on the lead lap. And now just lead a lap, pit, and go from there and see where you can finish.
Well, looking at some of these pit stops, it looks like Liam Quinn with one of the longer pit stops. It will be back in 6th, but up front, I believe if we see Cohen Evans pit, Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston should be 1-2 at the start of this thing right now, 2nd and 3rd. But they've been looking like the dominant pair for most of this race, especially on that long green flag run. It was basically their race to lose unless a caution came out. Caution came out, and now it's looking a lot more dicier for these two. Just looking at the schedule in front of us, we're going to be taking a week off next week for these drivers, but we'll be back on May 28th at the Milwaukee Mile with these drivers, and that will be race number, I believe, 12. Yeah, that was going to be race number 12 for these machines. And it's going to be coming to the wire at the end of this race. Surprise, surprise, Cohen Evans is still out. I think he's expecting another caution.
Well, he wouldn't have been able to pit and actually lead the lap, so he had to stay out to get the lap led this time. And as long as they're not coming to 1 to green this time, he will be fine to pit. Although even if he does, he'll just be tail end of the line anyway. But he had to stay out if he wanted that lap led due to the pit road speed differences. He would have lost the lead.
So again, talking about our next race after this one, it's going to be the Milwaukee Mile on the 28th, and it's going to be the 3rd to last race of the season, and the driver up in 3rd right now on track, Nicholas Johnston, leader in points, and he's ahead of 2nd place in points, Liam Quinn. So I'm guessing if the race finishes where it's at now, that's going to be a 3rd win for Jason Brophy, which is fantastic for him. But overall, that is going to be another gain in points for Nicholas Johnston.
Yeah, I think the biggest hope for Liam Quinn to make really any title bid this late in the race, in the season, you need Nicholas Johnston to finish dead last of whatever cars are running, and you need to win this race to really just throw the door open and make up as many points as possible with only 3 races left after this one.
I mean, what's crazy about Nicholas Johnston is looking back at the stats of the season and the consistency that we've seen from this 28. He's got 9 top 10s out of the 10 races that have been ran so far, 8 top 5s, 4 wins. It's been a dominant run for this 28 machine. It's just been consistency, winning most of the road courses, as Cohen Evans now pulling down, getting that lap led, and now will drop all the way back to the rear of the field, giving the lead to Jason Brophy. But once again, yeah, looking at points, Liam Quinn really needs Nicholas Johnston to finish outside of the top 10, and Liam Quinn basically to win these last couple of races to really make a more of a chip at the race in points leader. Jason Brophy, though, the second half of this season has really turned around for this 88 machine. He's gotten a total of, I believe, 2 wins. Got 2 wins in a row earlier on in the season, and this could possibly be win number 3. With the way this 88 machine's been running, and also with the 28, it seems like these two are the ones to watch out for. But that car in 3rd, Chad Frankfield, he has not been afraid to make it 3 wide. Well, Bronson, they're good to the end. Do we see anyone trying to save fuel in any manner, or is it get up to the front and try to stay up front?
You don't have to save fuel at all here. You're good to go no matter even if you were leading the field. We had 23, 24 laps left when they came in, and you can get 29-ish on your own by yourself, just wasting all your fuel. So at this point, go for the win, go for the lead, and hopefully be able to stay there, which that top two has been there all race long. But Frankenfield been in the top three all night. Matt Hollabaugh, top four all night. Liam Quinn sitting right there. He's been top 5, 6, 7 all night. So these guys, the top five, not surprising at all. They've been there all night long, and they all know how to race it. But the person that's been there the most tonight has been Jason Brophy.
Jason Brophy and Chad Frankenfield, really the ones that have been leading most of these laps, and got to give it up to Brophy. Looked good on that green flag run, but right there on that last restart, he was making some pretty strong moves with pulling Nicholas Johnson with them. Now that we're green, you got to wait and see what type of moves is Nicholas Johnson going to pull on this 88, or are they going to still work together? And where is that 15 going to go once we're on the backstretch?
Yeah, I think from here, I think working together is maybe out of the window unless you are direct teammates. As you can see, Johnson pull down low. Frankenfield's a little bit too far back. He's probably going to try and make a move for second. As he does, Brophy will slip back to third, but you still got a lot of laps left, so it's not too worrying. Quinn moves up to fourth, and they're just going after it now. Frankenfield's going to try for the lead. Brophy gets a huge run off with
Liam Quinn out of nowhere.
Second now for the lead. Quinn is going after it. He knows he needs to win this race.
He really does need a win, and he needs to get as many points as possible. As now Quinn still on the bottom lane, trying to make a move here on Frankenfield, but not able to get it done. And might just have to move down to third. As Brophy now on the outside, holding off Liam Quinn.
Here comes Johnston for the lead. It really looks like the top side of that racetrack on fresh tires is actually better than the bottom with being able to pass people. I think you can just hold the throttle a bit more as Quinn now going to slip back. Hollabaugh is starting to get to his outside. He's going to go back from going for the lead basically back to fourth or fifth.
Something I want to bring up. Earlier on in this race, Chad Frankenfield was pushing his car so hard that he almost hit the outside wall. We're coming to the end of this race. You can't really let off that often, so we might be seeing someone smack the wall coming off this corner very soon with how aggressive these guys are running.
Yeah, and if you're running second, third position, you smack that outside wall. It's so close. The closing rates are so quick. You don't have the time to react. Frankenfield looked like he's going to go around the outside, actually let off so Brophy and Johnston can go 2 wide instead of 3. Frankenfield almost turned down onto Matt Hollabaugh there for P3. He's going to get loose. He's going to get shuffled back now.
Gotta wonder, where did he come from? Mitch Welker up to 5th, and he might be making some more big moves. Now he is still side-by-side with Chad Frankenfield. Gonna let Frankenfield go, but side-by-side up front, it is going to be Jason Brophy and Nicholas Johnston with Matt Hollabaugh thinking about going 3 wide, but thinks better of it and falls back in line.
You know, I noticed Brophy that time entering turn 1 actually willingly gave up the bottom to Nicholas Johnston, and here's why. Look at the run off of the turn into turn 3. Frankenfield's going to go 3 wide on the bottom, but Brophy sitting on that top lane of the track. Third lane is not where he wants to be, but Johnston able to hold on to second. Brophy back to third. Frankenfield once again to the lead. Welker sitting there in 5th, racing with Hollabaugh. They're racing like crazy right now.
You got to be careful where you're throwing your cars. Nicholas Johnson puts it on the high side. Brophy on the bottom. Brophy going to be making a move to the lead, and it's going to work out as he takes the lead on the bottom.
Brophy. Oh, Liam Quinn almost got the wall off of turn 1. Oh, Chad Frankenfield was straddling the curb. He's not going to be able to hold on to second position, but I was just going to quick mention there. Jason Brophy, from what I've seen, looks like one of the guys that has the most confident car passing on the bottom. Everyone else I've seen kind of let up a little bit more and have the outside really fight, but he just drives it in hard and it just seems to stick. Brophy just has it under him, it looks like, for the car here at the end.
I mean, we're going to go with a little bit of blimp cam to show you guys how crazy these drivers are just bouncing back and forth. I mean, we got a total of 10 cars battling up in this front group, and then about 5 or 6 in single file behind them. It is just wall-to-wall, sideways, side-by-side action. You got to wonder when and who is going to give, and I know no one is really going to stop from taking.
Here they come again. Frankenfield 3 wide on the bottom of the track. Brophy's going to check up and actually let him clear as it sticks Johnson on the outside. He's still holding strong, though, for third. Mitch Welker, though, here he comes ahead of Hollabaugh now.
We're going to be having a little gearbox showing how fast and how close everyone is getting. As right now on the below side, it's going to be Chad Frankenfield, but everyone else still side-by-side action. And Johnston has been getting very close to that outside wall. It's getting kind of scary with the way that these tires are going to really wear off coming to the end of this race. You got to be careful getting that close to the wall.
Yeah, he was so close to the wall that time. You have to be very careful doing that. He looked like he was going to go 3 wide again above Frankenfield and Brophy. That's what he looked like he was going to do last time into turn 1 and nearly got the wall. This time a bit closer. Yeah, I think there's probably a wind into turn 1, probably forcing them to push a little bit more wide than they'd like to. But Brophy and Frankenfield still going at it for the lead.
Something to keep in all the drivers' minds is all the passes that have worked out to cross the line first has been coming off of turn number 4. I'm expecting turn number 4, last lap, to be the time that you're going to make your final move. Because if you try to make the move on the backstretch, you've made it way too soon, and you're probably going to get passed on the front.
Yeah, interesting to note there. Brophy stuck it on the outside of 1 and 2 up top of Frankenfield that entire last time. Was almost able to pull a nose ahead into turn 3, but turn 3 and 4, the bottom looks to be much stronger as Frankenfield clears Brophy. And it's just really interesting to see as the rubber is built up where they're going to go. Is Johnson go 3 wide?
Johnson thinks otherwise, going to be staying behind Brophy, and these two have been racing with each other all race long, and Chad Frankenfield's been the one that's been trying to chase them down, but due to the last couple of cautions, has enabled everyone to be back into a pack, and now Frankenfield having a chance to win this thing, but Brophy and Johnston still trying to figure out how they're going to work together to get by this yellow 15 machine.
Yeah, you see there, Frankenfield made the move entering turn 3. It'll be interesting to see maybe if Brophy can pull alongside. Chad's blocking him. Brophy forces his way in there. Oh, man, that could have been so much worse if Frankenfield did not move down. But he did. He led the lap, though. Interesting to note that if we have that situation on the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, these are just, with the laps ticking down, we're on lap 19, we're on lap 110 with 19 to go. So you just got to keep this in the back of your mind. But here's the thing. These guys are getting racy, but they're also getting racy back there for around 6th and 7th place, as they're still 2 wide back there. So it's not like up front's only where the action is. All the cars behind them trying to make moves to get a better spot at the end of this race.
Nicholas Johnson's going to have a huge run this time off of turn 4. There he goes, 3 wide to the bottom. They stayed side by side all through 3 and 4, giving the run to Johnston. Hollabaugh right behind him, Quinn behind him. They're making erratic moves, not sure where to go. Oh, who's that in the wall? There's a big wreck.
Oh, no! That's going to be cars in the back, and I believe that is Daniel Zegger.
It's Mitch Welker, gets a little bit of contact off of Danny Rogers into the turn, just gets pushed up into the wall, and then, yes, that was Daniel Zegger, who he collected coming back off the wall, as well as Thomas Bressi.
Gonna watch. Yeah, that was Mitch Welker that got into the wall, and it's kind of those tires that were having issues. We were on board with Bressi there. We'll go back and see what happened to Welker. Welker, it looked like he drove just a little bit too hard and got into the wall right there.
Bressi actually got lucky. He net coated through the first wreck. Thomas Bressi net coated through the first wreck, and then just riding the apron, trying to slow it down enough, spun out, coming back up on the track, damaged the front wing, but nothing a pit stop shouldn't be able to repair, so he's still looking good.
Well, I just figured out what the issue was, and we're going to see here on screen Danny Roberts.
That didn't throw a caution.
That didn't throw a caution, actually.
They're still racing. That did not throw a caution. I'm surprised that was 3 cars in the middle of the track, but they're going for the lead up front still with Brophy and now Johnston. What happened to Frankenfield? He's back to 5th.
As a little bit of issue. We honestly thought that was going to be a caution just of how violent it was, but I do the fact that the car's all wrecked off of track, they didn't call it.
Yeah, but I guess there were no cars coming. Liam Quinn going 3 wide for the lead, though, against Johnston and Brophy.
So, sorry, folks. We were trying to figure out what happened there, and as I went back, you saw it was against Danny Roberts, bumping into Mitch Welker, and Welker getting into the wall, and that's what caused everyone to spin out. So that is from about That is 17th to 21st. All those machines were a part of that little accident.
We have
and
a
they
new
are
player
still
up front. Here comes Byron Daly up into 4th. He just took it 3 wide to get by Frankenfield and Hollabaugh.
Oh, did Johnson just tap the wall? I mean, it looked like his car got close there.
I think he got really, really close. Yeah, he got really close. No damage I see, though. And here comes Brophy again for the lead.
Like I was saying, Byron Daly, he might have been back at around 17th when we last talked about him, but he's someone that always has a chance at the end of these races. He hasn't been able to get it done, really, but he's been very close getting second multiple times. Now Frankenfield drifting on back even further back, as now he's going to lose even more positions. Now he's all the way back to 6th and still side by side with Danny Roberts.
Yeah, I really feel like this has been Frankenfield's Achilles heel. He goes for the lead so aggressively. He burns that right front tire up, and you can see it now. He's falling back through the pack. It's going to get harder and harder to pass the further back you fall, as Daly pops out of Hollabaugh going for 4th position.
Hollabaugh trying to make as many moves as he can and trying to get back in line to follow these top 3 machines that are kind of all just staying in line and pulling away. Liam Quinn, Nicholas Johnston, and Jason Brophy up front. These 3 machines are pulling away and trying to make a little gap between the cars behind them, 4th on back.
You know what's really funny here? Johnston and Brophy are doing the same thing they were doing when it was just the 2 of them. They're being really clean about the slingshot pass and just kind of letting each other go. Are they trying to maybe pull away and just make it between them 2?
I mean, with Liam Quinn just sitting behind them, it's kind of working out perfectly to where they were slowly starting to pull away. But due to the fact that everyone from 4th on back kind of single filed out, used the draft to now pull their way back into this, Matt Hollabaugh slowly inching his way back onto Liam Quinn, and Liam Quinn might be thinking about making a move. Still just sitting back as Nicholas Johnston, once again, slingshots by, and Chad Frankenfield saying that he is not done yet, as he is now moving up to 5th.
The interesting thing for Liam Quinn staying in 3rd position, with the amount of distance that Brophy and Johnston back up to each other on entry, it's not really letting the 3rd place car get enough of a run to make a move and make it 3 wide. So Brophy and Johnston, in a way, are still controlling this race just for the top 2. They're backing up enough, as you can see right through the corner. Johnston backs up, so only he has enough time to make a run, and 3rd place does not.
Just want to give a quick update of cars that are still running. It looks like from about 18th forward are all the cars running, but cars that are on the pits not able to do anything. Mitch Welker, Cohen Evans, Zach Buchanan, Eric Gonzalez, Justin Carey, Mike Hurley, Evan Adams, Kite Baumersbach, and Riley Thompson. Those are the machines that were not able to continue from the last time we gave an update. And then from 28th on down, of cars that were out earlier in the race, it's Richard Nash, Carl Yancey, also Philip Radich, and Stuart Ringer, and also the 43, 77, and the 2 machine. Those machines were out earlier on this race, but up front on the lead laps and lead pack is 17th on forward.
Oh man, I just watched Frankenfield entering turn 1 drive up to the rear gearbox of Danny Roberts and make the move low. I think he got him a little bit loose just with the arrow push, and just he's making that move back for what is that, 6th position now. And Frankenfield trying to get back up there, but he's got some work to do to get past Daly, Hollabaugh, Quinn, Johnston, and Brophy if he wants to win this race.
Yeah, I mean, when you are right on the tail bumper of a machine, you're able to make these passes, but sometimes there's a little bit of an air bubble that you're not able to catch the car in front of you. And that's what we might be seeing from the cars from fourth place of Hollabaugh and Daly. They're just not able to gain up on Liam Quinn.
And Johnston and Brophy both came so close to the wall through the short chute off of turn 1 into turn 2. But Brophy's going to come back for the lead. Quinn's too far back to make it 3 wide. And that's Brophy and Johnston still in control. Still in control of this race, coming to 8 laps to go.
And seeing side-by-side action for 4th, it's really hindering them from gaining up on Liam Quinn. This is a 3-horse battle at this moment, coming to 8 laps to go, as it is now 3 wide for a second there for first. Liam Quinn and Nicholas Johnston almost got into one another. That is 1st and 2nd in points. And you got to be careful of when
That
you're
could
going to
have
be
been
making these moves.
disastrous. That
Liam
was such a
Quinn.
late move by Nicholas Johnson on Quinn. Honestly, I think that's a little bit frowned upon, as that's deemed as like a really bad block just with the speed difference. Lucky to get away with it there, but Quinn probably not too happy after that one.
Quinn getting the momentum here into the final corner. We're going to see if he's able to make a pass coming off of 4. Coming to 7 laps to go. Liam Quinn with the momentum. Is Nicholas Johnson going to make another block or not? Now is Nicholas Johnson put his car onto the inside, and I think Liam Quinn is going to be helping Brophy just a little bit there, but just not able to give enough push as these cars getting extremely close to the wall coming off of 1. It just looks like their car is pushing a little bit more in 1 than it does anywhere else on track.
Yeah, there's usually a wind going into turn 1 with the way the grandstands are, and it just kind of funnels it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're fighting over in turn 1 compared to turn 3. As you can see, they're able to not really get close to the wall through 3 at all, but through 1 and 2, it's always so tight. And Brophy is starting to get a little bit more defensive now. He peaks a little bit low, makes him go a little bit lower, swings it back up high. He's trying to do whatever he can to win this race.
As we're now in the blimp cam, seeing how all these cars are kind of spaced out. You can see the group of 3 that really are the ones that have a chance to win this thing. And that little bubble between 3rd and 4th, it may look like they're still in the draft, which they are, but that bubble is really hard for any car to gain on the machine in front of them. As they're about to go 3 wide, and they believe that was Brophy that was blinking just a little bit.
Yeah,
that was actually Johnson.
Blink. It's going to give the lead to Liam Quinn.
Liam Quinn able to make it to the lead, stuck in 3rd for a while there. Now
Here
up
comes
front.
Brophy. Frankenfield, too, has made a move back to 4th position now, kind of using a bump draft from Byron Daly.
And actually, with Frankfield getting up, it's made that bubble go away. And that's just a little bit of move that he needed to see. As up front, they is still tight action. As you're seeing Brophy and Liam Quinn right on top of one another. And with Chad Frankenfield now up to 4th, he is back in this thing with 5 laps to go.
Frankenfield's going to make a move for it. Johnston from 3rd to the bottom of the track, going 3 wide into turn 3. Frankenfield's looking low. He's going to probably try and get under Brophy. Nope, not going to be able to do it. They're still side by side for 2nd. That's going to help Nicholas Johnston.
Nicholas Johnson trying to pull away, but here's the thing. He doesn't want too much of a gap. I'm expecting Frankenfield just to dip it down low. He's thinking about it.
Brophy. Johnston has pulled down to help the 88. Frankenfield's looking low now. He's going to try and get under Liam Quinn. Oh, man, they're really going at it. There's no bubble anymore now. Oh, Frankenfield sticks it low on Quinn after the short shoot into turn 2. But that's going to help the top 2 of Johnston and Brophy now.
And now the snake.
Here comes the snaking.
Oh, that was close.
That was so close. Oh, man, they've been working so well together all race long, and that was a close move.
You make the snake when you have a gap between the car behind you. You don't do a snake when you're side by side with someone. That could have been disastrous for the 2 cars that have been dominant all race long at Brophy. And also Johnson has 3 wide action back in 3rd.
3 wide for 3rd. The lead, though, 3 laps to go. If there's a caution, race is over. That's why you see them racing so hard. Any little incident now, and it's done and over with. So this is for the win.
You know, we were seeing Johnston and Brophy having clean slipstream passes. Now they're just staying side by side, which is enabling Chad Frankenfield to get the draft and gain on them. Is this a mistake? If they were just straight, they could have been pulling away.
Yeah, if they were in line, they could have been pulling away. Side by side, though, entering turn 3, Chad Frankenfield was about 5 miles an hour faster. If he can time the move right, he's going to have enough speed to pass both of them.
We're now...
Here he comes. No, he's too close. Oh, Quinn almost drives into the wing of Frankenfield. But still, Caution's out! That's it! Caution's out. Johnston's going to win. He has the nose on Brophy. Johnston's going to win this race.
Nicholas Johnston gets it done. That is going to be win number 5 of the year, and the Indy 500 goes to the road course maniac.
I think with that kind of win, I don't know how you get the championship away from him now.
There's absolutely no way. I can't think of a reason on why Nicholas Johnson would lose it, as I'm looking back to try to figure out where...
The 69 of Jake got it. He went for a move on David Kalb down the front straightaway, turned a little bit too far left, and just got stuck on the inside wall, and the car came to a stop and threw a yellow as there was a car coming.
as we are now going to be
That's
hopping
a
aboard.
really unfortunate caution to end this race.
Got it. Just trying to make a pass to better himself in the positions, and got kind of blocked, squeezed, puts himself in the wall, and it's kind of due to the fact that he came to a complete stop. That's what came out the caution. It's a shame that that's the way that this race is going to end. Kind of would have hoped that Goddard would have taken his car to maybe off track, off to the side, and not there to finish out this race, but it gives the win to Nicholas Johnston and Brophy getting second. It's not the way you would expect to win the Indy 500, but that is the way. Nicholas Johnston's going to get win number 5 of the season and just extend that lead even further ahead, as Liam Quinn in second in points, able to finish in 4th. Chad Frankenfield will get 3rd, but that was an amazing race to really watch. It was looking like it was going to be a fuel mileage race, possibly a 2-horse race, and at the end, it was Nicholas Johnston who gets it done.
Yeah, you have to feel for Jason Brophy. He was trying so hard on the outside and just sticking it on the top. If it was down the back straightaway, I think we could have seen Brophy as the winner with the runs he was getting off the top of the corner, but it happened in the middle of a corner where the inside line was a bit stronger, giving Johnston the win. But, the top two being Johnston and Brophy, they ran top 2 all night long. I don't think there's any other place they'd rather see themselves.
No, honestly, it was the way it was probably going to look if we stayed green during that long green flag run. And Chad Frankenfield, he was leading that pack for so long during that green flag run, finally had a chance to possibly battle it out with these two up front. But the strength of the 88 and the 28 to get this thing done. Nicholas Johnston with win number 5 here at the 3rd annual Indy 500 for the Fuel Indy Series. And it has been a wild ride for this 28 machine all day, as you thought maybe it was going to go green for most of this race. Then we had a couple of cautions, and it ends with a caution at the end.
Yeah, an unfortunate end after such a great race, a caution to end the race. I think we would have had a crazy finish with at least the top 2-3 guys all race long. But, we had an amazing race all race long. A green flag finish, I think, would have topped it off. But I'm still thoroughly impressed. I think that was great racing. We had 2 rounds of green flag stops from some guys due to strategies. We had that's basically 60, 70 laps of green flag. We had a couple quick cautions. No real carnage on cars besides people just maybe getting the wall themselves, or really the late caution with the big wreck off of turn 1 that actually didn't throw the caution for. So overall, I don't think anyone can be upset with how that race went.
No, honestly, you really can't be upset unless you're back in 2nd and 3rd, and those machines that possibly could have had a chance at the end here, except for that late caution that came out. But the winner is going to be Nicholas Johnston doing some donuts out here by the bricks. He gets to kiss the bricks here at the Indy 500, and it's been a great run for this 28 machine all season long. Just the most dominant car, consistent machine up front, and gets it done. We're going to take a little quick at the results. And Nicholas Johnston gets it done on the top of the board. Brophy gets 2nd. Chad Frankenfield gets 3rd. Liam Quinn, Byron Daly, Matt Hollabaugh, Andrew Wood, Danny Roberts, Tyler Hennigsel, Will Roberts. Then we go on to our 11th place, Hayden Pastoris, and he almost could have had the fuel mileage run if there wasn't another caution there at the end. Then we got Roberto Munoz, Cristobal Venezuela, Daniel Cabal, and then we also have Thomas Bresci, Nate Michaels, Jake Goddett, Daniel Zegger, Mitch Welker, Cohen Evans, and really from here on out are machines that were not able to continue running due to just accidents and having too much damage on their vehicles. But overall, a great race. We got to watch, got to see fuel mileage, green flag runs, so much action all around, as these are the last place cars that were not able to finish out this race. Well, we're going to take a look to see if we have cars in the waiting room, and we don't at the moment, as we're waiting to see cars come into get some interviews. But Bronson, overall, what did you think of this race?
I don't think you could have asked for a much better Indy 500 than that. It had a little bit of everything. It had a couple little wrecks with one or two cars. It had a decent little size wreck. It had two green flag pit stops, a 70 lap run. You had constant racing for the lead and all throughout the field, really, for the longest time. You had strategies. You really had everything. The only thing that could have made that race a straight 10 out of 10 is a green flag finish, but that's a really close 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was great for us to watch. Got to see a lot of three wide action, and got to give credit to Chad Frankenfield, who was the one who was being the bravest at the start of this race to throw it out for these guys to show, hey, it is possible to throw it out there and do these three wide passes. It's just overall a great run. Once again, our next race that we will be seeing here for the IndyCar series is going to be in 2 weeks. It's going to be on the 28th of May, and it's going to be at the Milwaukee Mile for 150 laps. That's going to be an interesting to watch as these drivers, they went from the Indianapolis 500, now they're going to a 1 mile track, and that one should be pretty interesting for 150 laps.
Yeah, that's a huge change of track layouts. You go from the flat out super speedway of Indy to Milwaukee. Huge difference of change, and it actually looks like people are starting to jump into the room now, so we will be able to get some interviews going.
Yeah, we're actually going to start it all off with the race winner, Nicholas Johnston. Nick, welcome to the Flatout Racing booth. It's Sam and Brent and Bronson in the booth. Gotta ask, how the heck did you win that thing at the end?
Indy 500, man. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Jason and Chad, those are the top two in the business when it comes to running on these ovals, and especially around this sacred place in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I was just telling my team there within 10 to go, like, this is the part of the race where I never know what to do. Like, I know the early part, I know the mid part, I know how to put myself in the right position. But when it comes down to the end, I don't quite know exactly what to do to seal the deal. And I think if we would have stayed green, I think we would have been put three wide, and who knows what would have happened with Chad there. But I mean, luckily for me, that caution came out just at the right time, just when I had cleared Jason, and I can't believe it. This is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably one of the wilder races that we've seen all season long. We have the possible chance of going to the green with that long green flag run we had. I mean, how was that? We're just running with you and Brophy, knowing that if this went green, it was between you two.
I was about as scared as I was there in the last 5 laps, because I know Jason knows exactly what to do, and he was probably going to outsmart me there at the end. And I would have been happy with second, because I know working with him, we made all the right moves and we were smart about our strategy throughout the race. I saw him short pit on that first pit of the cycle, and I was like, hey, no one's going with Jason. I'm going to take that opportunity, because I know we have an opportunity to gap the field and just kind of make it a 2-horse race here at the end. And yeah, who knows what would have played out. It really just came down to being in front at the right time with the tire deg.
Bronson, you got any questions for our race winner here?
Yeah, for sure. You know, you're so late in the season now. You just won another race, another strong thing. Your closest championship rival sitting fourth. 3 races to go. You have already over 40 points before the points are even done for this race. Do you look ahead now and just kind of drive safe and just go get the championship for the next 3 races? I mean, you have the points gap. What do you really do different? Anything, if at all?
Well, Bronson, I'm here to win, man. And I'm going to go out there every week, trying my best to get wins, because I know if I try to sit back and just cruise to the finish here, someone's going to catch me by surprise. Something's going to happen. I'm going to get caught up with someone that I'm not used to racing against, or something stupid will happen. So what's worked for me so far is driving my ass off and trying to get these wins, and I'm going to continue to keep doing that, and hopefully it all plays out in the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
honestly, sometimes that's the best way to do it. Some guys like to cruise, but clearly you're not one of them. That's a huge thing if you get the championship. I think this probably has to be one of the highlights for sure. And I'm sure you definitely have some other questions there, Sam, or whatnot for, what is effectively our most winningest driver of the season.
yeah, I mean, this is win number 5, and I imagine there's still a chance of getting more wins with us going to the Glen in a couple of weeks. Is that race kind of circled on your calendar as the next one you're going to try to get a win at?
Yeah, I mean, we give our best to try to win every single week, but I do know that when it comes to the ovals, that I'm not as good as I am on the road courses. Indianapolis, I put a ton of testing in within the last week and a half because this is like the race. This is the race I want to win in fuel every season. And to come out here and do it, it's truly been a fairy tale season for me, from the points lead to winning Indianapolis by a tire width. It's just, I can't believe it. This has been great.
Well, it's been a great race to watch. This Indianapolis 500 was a fun one to watch, Nick. Congratulations, and we'll give you the floor to give some shout outs.
Thank you very much, guys. First off, thanks all to you guys for broadcasting this weekend and week out. You guys do a great job, and we all appreciate you guys being here. Fuel Racing League for the awesome organization and great racing league. To orchestrate that 3-wide start at the beginning gave me goosebumps. Like I haven't quite experienced that in sim racing, so that was a lot of fun to do, and really just the whole project too team for all their help and support throughout the season. I know some of our guys didn't have the best of nights, but they were all very strong there at the end, and I think pretty much all of them could have been in contention if some things hadn't happened there in the mid part of the race.
Well, that's Nicholas Johnson, and he's been Mr. Consistent all race long, leader in points, and that's win number 5 for the 28 machine.
And if my boy Josh is out there watching, hell yeah, buddy.
Next up, we're going to bring in Jason Brophy, who was so close to getting this win, but finishes second. Jason, it's Bronson and Sam at the booth. You got us?
Yes, I do.
Well, that was an exciting race to watch. It looked like it was going to be you and Nick at the end for that long green flag run we had. Then we had a couple of cautions. You got to throw in Chad Frickenfield in. It looked like it was going to be between you three at the end. How was that ending for you, though?
It was crazy. You're always just trying to make sure you aren't the one that shoves the other guy in the wall. And thankfully, we all kind of avoided that. I mean, there were a few tight moments, mostly on the straightaway. But yeah, I think, it was a really good race, and I think everybody at the front kept it very clean there at the end, which is hard to do. You got an Indy 500 on the line. Yeah.
I mean, I know, sorry, I know we were coming close to the end there, and we know that the last lap, it was going to be a last corner, probably pass, coming down the straightaway. Was there any plan for you at the end there, if we were able to get to that coming down the line?
If that caution doesn't come out, I'm pretty sure I was in trouble, because I think Chad was going to have a run on the backstretch, and I had nowhere to go. I couldn't get out of line, so I was going to be the one stuck 3 wide on top, and I'm not sure what I would have done at that point. Now, yeah, I mean, that's about it. I just had no plan at that point. The real hope was that I could just hold on long enough and then duck out with, say, 2 to go, get a big draft, and pull around, down the backstretch, pull to his outside, and then hold the outside advantage, since he couldn't hold the throttle, and beat him to the line. But I think that was all going to break apart there in just a moment, because Chad was coming, and you have to go 3 wide at that point. You can't just sit behind the people. So I'm pretty sure I was going to be in a bad spot.
Yeah, Bronson, you got any questions?
Yeah, just real quick. The first pit stop, you kind of short pit away from everyone else. Well, I say short pit, but you were about 30 laps on a run. But you had Johnson actually pit with you, and you guys worked together really, really well. Was there any form of communication going on there to kind of organize that? Because you guys came out 3.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, and by the time you guys pit again, you had about 5 seconds of a gap.
There was no communication beforehand. I had to pit, so I pit. And I think he took the opportunity, I think he was back in 9th, to just dive in, knowing what we'd learned in the kind of the fixed 500, right? Undercutting was pretty powerful. and especially with the slightly cooler temps, you could really work the swap draft and gain a lot of time. We were good to make it on 2 more stops, so there was no concern there. And then we just worked really well together there. Managed to get ourselves separated by that 3 seconds, hold on until, the next pit stop and catch some draft on the fresh tires and stuff and start pulling away. So it wasn't really communicated, but once we came out of the pits together, we knew, okay, we know what to do. We're experienced enough at this that it's how you make time. So.
I mean, Jason, it was a great run for you today. It was an exciting race for us to watch from start to finish. But coming to the end of this season, I know winning the championship's kind of out of hand and Nick kind of has it wrapped up in a way. Are there any of the last 3 races that you kind of have circled that you're excited for?
Right now, all my focus has been on this Open Indy 500. So I haven't actually. I don't know where we go next. I have just been putting everything toward trying to make the Open 500 and run in the Open 500 here. So the iRacing one, and so I haven't focused on the next race. Obviously, I ran a bunch of fixed racing last week for this one, so I was ready for it. But I just ovals. I like the ovals, although it's going to be Watkins Glen Oval, is my understanding, the old classic track. So,
Yeah, before we get to Watkins Glen, actually in 2 weeks, we're going to be going to the Milwaukee Mile for 150 laps. So that's going to be our next one on our list.
So if that's going to go anything like the last one we went to Milwaukee, I'm going to stare at Will's rear wing for 150 laps. Because that's about what happened last time. So, no, I like Milwaukee. Depends on, a lot on the setup, the weather, etc. It can be real hard to pass there in dirty air. But I do like Milwaukee as a track. So it's good to go to the old classic. So especially right after Indy, seems fitting.
It really was a great run for the 88 machine of Jason Brophy. Now the floor is yours. We'll allow you to give some shout outs.
Thank you for broadcast. I want to thank Will for putting this on. Evan for, testing out the set, getting the weather right. It was pretty good weather. It made for pretty good racing. I guess Matt, Eric for teammates, had a pretty good run there. We qualified all pretty well together. Didn't really have much of an opportunity to work together. I think we did a couple times there at least. So I do want to thank them. And yeah, I think that's about it.
And once again, a great run for the 88 machine, who finishes second. Well, Bronson, it was an exciting race from top to bottom. Any final thoughts here?
I hope Milwaukee is just as much fun. Honestly, that was a great race, and they keep racing like that on ovals and even the road courses. It's super entertaining, and the drivers seem to enjoy it. So just really great job overall from everyone tonight.
This was an amazing Indy 500 to watch. Nicholas Johnston tops the board with win number 5 this season. Got to give it up to him for a dominating run. Still in the points of lead, and that gap grows even more. Once again, our next race for the Fuel Series is going to be in 2 weeks on May 28th. And this is Sam and Bronson from the Flatout Racing Network. Thank you for watching, and we will see you all next time.